Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Reincarnated into the sacred tree, I create a family of yin soldiers. Chapter 61. The huge noise also made everyone quiet down instantly, and there was silence in the venue. They are not even warriors. They have never seen such a scene. If the person who was slapped by the palm just now was themselves, would they still be alive? This made many people have a hint of fear in their eyes. But this also makes many people even more excited to become Chen family slaves. They also hope to become warriors in the future. Maybe they can also master this power by then. Many people had a trace of determination in their eyes. This time they must become the Chen family's slaves. Seeing that everyone was quiet and fearful, Chen Tianjing's expression did not change. What he used just now was the Teizu Chengquan. Although he had not yet fully mastered it, the power of the combat technique was enough to easily intimidate the scene in front of him. You don't have to worry too much. Although our Chen family only recruits 20 slaves this time, it may not be the same next year. As soon as these words came out, many people expressed hope. If they didn't get chosen this time, they might have a chance next time. Okay, now let's start the selection of domestic slaves. Chen Tianjing began to select domestic slaves according to the requirements previously discussed by the clan. House slaves are also part of the family and will live and die with the Chen family in the future. However, house slaves cannot be the core of the family, and the family cannot allow all house slaves to become warriors. Therefore, in this selection, the first thing to consider is character, and secondly, they should not be too thin. After all, domestic slaves still need to be engaged in growing blood rice and other things. In addition, if you have a certain skill, you can also be admitted on a merit-based basis. After half a day, 20 domestic slaves were selected. Some were tall and some were short, but most of them had certain abilities. Tian Meng is also among them. He is strong. Although he is not a warrior, his strength is not much different from that of a warrior in the early stage of the body tempering realm. He can be regarded as quite talented. After the selection, the others were dismissed one by one. These people felt disappointed, but they had no choice but to ask the Chen family to recruit more slaves next year. The chosen person naturally had a look of joy on his face, especially after seeing the others leaving with a sense of disappointment. A sense of accomplishment could not help but arise in his heart. Looking at the 20 people in front of him, Chen Tianjing said, "My name is Chen Tianjing. I am now the elder of the family. From now on, you will be in charge of me. The next 7 days will be the assessment period. If you fail to meet the standards, you will not be able to join our Chen family. In addition, after 7 days, 2 leaders will be selected from among the 20 of you. The leaders will receive a larger monthly salary. Qingsong, take them to my Chen family to get familiar with it, and tell them the rules of the family." "Yes, clan elder." Looking at the 20 people leaving, Chen Tianjing sighed a lot. When facing family members, he does not need to do this, but now it is no longer possible. These people are uncertain, like duckweed. They currently have no sense of belonging to the family. They not only need to be beaten, but also need to be lured. These are the knowledge that his father taught him in his dream. Although he doesn't quite understand it yet, looking at everyone's performance, he also has some ideas in his mind. It is not so easy to become a big family, especially for today's Chen family. On the second day, these 20 people were put into various parts of the family. They were either responsible for managing blood rice or repairing houses. Now that there are 20 more people in the family, the corresponding food supply will naturally increase. At the same time, it is also necessary to provide clothing and accommodation for these domestic slaves. This may seem like a small matter, but it cannot be ignored. The family's focus is entirely on hunting. Winter is approaching, and it is definitely too late to plant blood rice and other grains in large areas. Only hunting can keep the family strong and improve the level of the tribe. Although Chen Xingzhen valued this aspect before, he did not regard it as the family's top priority. But then under Chen Chengming's suggestion, he put it first. Nowadays, there are many blood coagulation realm warriors in the family, and there is also Chen Qingyu, a late-stage blood coagulation realm warrior, who has now mastered Huang-level high-level combat skills. As long as he does not go deep into the mass burial mountain, there is not much pressure on hunting. And when you chose this mountain, Didn't you just take a fancy to the rich resources and blood rice in this mountain? However, in order to train the tribe, the hunting team was divided into several teams this time. This can not only exercise the tribesmen, but also give them a sense of competition in their hearts. The development of a family cannot be like a pool of stagnant water. You need to throw some stones into the calm water to create waves before the water can move. These are all suggestions from my father. Although he is currently the leader of the clan, he also feels his own shortcomings. It's no wonder that the family declined in the first place. In addition to his blind sacrifice to the sacred tree, his own shallow views also had something to do with it. Fortunately, it's not too late. After a few days, the situation in the clan became even better. The family square, which was originally slightly empty, now has many teenagers. They are all warriors in the family who have completed their body tempering, and many of them have already completed their body tempering. They have entered the early stage of body tempering and can practice family combat skills. In the square, Chen Qinghe circulated the few blood energy in his body, clenched his hands into a fist, and punched the stone in front of him. His eyes are firm and there is a hint of confidence in his eyes. On the side, Chen Qingmeng and several other youths from the tribe also watched this scene carefully, with expectation in their eyes. Ha! As Chen Qinghe punched suddenly, the eyes of several teenagers also widened a bit. Could it be that Chen Qinghe was the first among them to learn Huang-level combat skills? Boom! As the fists collided with the hard blue stone, everyone hurriedly looked around. But then he saw that the blue stone in front of him did not react. Instead, Chen Qinghe's fists turned red, and a wailing sound came from his mouth. Ouch! It hurts! Cut! Seeing this, the others dispersed one after another and continued to temper their bodies. Qinghe, are you okay? Chen Qingmeng stepped forward and expressed concern, but his fists were also red. Obviously he had suffered a lot in practicing his combat skills. Fortunately, both of them have tempered their bodies, so there is no need to worry about damaging their roots. Just practicing combat skills, it is inevitable to suffer some skin injuries. Otherwise, we should continue to temper the body. This combat skill is too difficult. Didn't the clan leader also say that? At present, we only need to familiarize ourselves with the operation route of the combat skill and remember the moves. No, brother Qingyu learned it in one day, and I have to learn it earlier too. After hearing this, Chen Qingmeng stopped trying to persuade him, and the two of them continued to practice their fighting skills. From a distance, Chen Xingzhen looked at this scene with relief on his face. Indeed, his previous decision was somewhat inappropriate. These young men in the clan should focus on practicing martial arts. Only when they are not disturbed by other things can they concentrate on practicing martial arts. But Chen Xingzhen sighed again. If you want to practice martial arts, practice alone is not enough, you also need a lot of resources. Every blood coagulation realm warrior in the family was created by the resources piled up by the clan. Nowadays, there is not enough blood and rice, and there is not enough meat for ferocious beasts, which greatly hinders the progress of the warriors in the clan. Fortunately, the family center is now placed in the mass burial mountain, and daily hunting is also very fruitful. Although most of them are ordinary wild beasts, at least the clan members don't have to worry about food. Keep this rhythm, and in half a month, the clan can safely get through this cold winter. It's just that if you want to hunt ferocious beasts in the body tempering realm and blood coagulation realm, you still need to spend some effort. Considering the innate level green wolf deep in the mass burial mountain, one should not go too deep. In the long run, this will be very detrimental to the development of the family. But the Shantian realm is really too far away. Even Chen Qingyu, who is currently the strongest in the clan, has just reached the late stage of blood coagulation realm not long ago. The gap between the late stage of blood coagulation realm and the innate realm is really too big. After thinking for a while, Chen Xingzhen stopped thinking about it. Maybe he was too impatient. Family development does not happen overnight. Nowadays, the situation in the clan is improving. There are no internal or external worries. It is only a matter of time before they become stronger. In the Liu family, a thin middle-aged man was standing in front of the courtyard. In the center of the courtyard, there are green bamboos growing. It's just that at this moment, the color of these green bamboos has turned gray and yellow, and even the bamboo leaves on them have long fallen off. The middle-aged man was quietly concentrating, his eyes moving as if he was thinking about something. Soon, a figure slowly stepped into the courtyard, and then bowed to report. Clan leader, the Chen family has made some moves recently. They not only recruited domestic slaves, but also hunted in mass burial mountains. Do we need? After saying that, the clansman raised his head and glanced at the clan leader, trying to get information from him. After a while, the middle-aged man came back to his senses, turned around and snorted coldly. It seems that you have stayed in this mass burial mountain for too long. Have you forgotten the true purpose of your family stationed here? It's just a Chen family. They can be destroyed easily. As long as they don't affect us, we don't need to pay attention to them. But the Chen family was able to survive in desperate situations and became the final winner in the last war. It's quite interesting. The tribesman who reported the report felt his heart tense, and then nodded. I see. After he left, only the middle-aged man was left in the courtyard. Feeling the cold air around him, the middle-aged man looked hesitant. It is winter again, and there is not much time left for the family. This time, we must find that thing. After a while, the sound of rice grains falling came from the courtyard. Kai Mao, where are you going? There are rules in the clan. As a domestic slave, you can't run around at night. I'm going to take a moment and I'll be back soon. The young man named Kai Mao replied with a smile, then turned and walked out of the room. After becoming a slave of the Chen family 2 days ago, the Chen family has built a specially built residence for 2 people, and they can go home once a month. In addition to the monthly salary mentioned before, the treatment is still very good. After staying in the Chen family for the past few days, he gradually relaxed his nervousness from the beginning when he entered the Chen family. And their daily work is not difficult, and he is completely comfortable with it. He drank too much water during the day, and now he needs to deal with his personal situation. After a while, Kai Mao walked out of the hut and prepared to go back to sleep. But when Kai Mao turned his eyes and saw the shining light in the sky not far from his family, the trace of curiosity hidden in Kai Mao's heart was completely aroused. If he remembered correctly, it was the ancestral hall of the Chen family. On the first day, members of the Chen family took them to various places in the family to familiarize themselves with the road conditions, but only the Chen family ancestral hall was listed as a forbidden area for the family and was not allowed to go in and watch. And this also made many of them curious, such as what was in the ancestral hall. He had forgotten about it in the past few days, but the shining light fluorescence now made him feel itchy. He just took a look, just a look. Come back and sleep after reading this. And the reason why he dared to take a peek was because he found that the members of the Chen family seemed to go to bed very early. Many people had already taken a rest as soon as it got dark. At night, the entire Chen family seemed particularly quiet. He didn't even see anyone patrolling in the past few days. This was also the main reason why he dared to go there. If someone patrolled, he would not dare to go even if he had some courage. Kai Mao looked around carefully to make sure no one noticed him, and then slowly walked towards the Chen family ancestral hall. But before walking far, Kai Mao felt a chill coming from around his body. This made him extremely puzzled. He was wearing a lot of clothes, so why did he feel so cold? Kai Mao ignored it and continued to move forward. Soon, Kai Mao arrived outside the ancestral hall. Looking at the closed door and the not-so-high outer wall of the ancestral hall, Kai Mao had an idea in his mind. After a while, half of the head poked out from the outer wall. Kai Mao, who climbed up the wall, looked inside the ancestral hall through the faint moonlight above. But after looking around, Kai Mao felt bored. In this ancestral hall, there is only one tree and a room with a spiritual tablet, and nothing else. It was as if the fluorescence he just saw didn't exist. Kai Mao didn't look any further, got off the fence, turned around and left. But at this time, he felt that his body was a little colder. On the way back, he passed by the rooms of other members of the Chen family, and there seemed to be murmurs coming from the rooms. Kai Mao, who heard the movement, couldn't help but put his ear close to the wall and listened carefully to the sounds in the room. Cut it down. Oh, I understand, this way, the blood won't flow out. I'll find one tomorrow, and try. The words that came to his ears made Kai Mao's face change slightly. Although he didn't hear everything, the meaning of the words made him shudder. Coupled with the coldness coming from all around, it made him break into cold sweat on his back. It was as if there were several pairs of invisible eyes spying on him in the dark at this moment. Kai Mao no longer hesitated and walked quickly towards his residence. In the dream, two Chen family members were communicating. Handling the corpses of ferocious beasts is also a skill. Don't underestimate it. My father relied on this skill in the family back then. Dad, I know, I will try it tomorrow. In the room, the sleeping tribesman smiled slightly. Just after Kai Mao re-entered the room, several living souls who had been following Kai Mao began to communicate. This man is too curious to be a domestic slave. Yes, there are two other people with arrogant attitudes and too many ideas. They are not suitable either. After some communication, several living souls left the place and returned to the ancestral hall. The fluorescence that had disappeared before reappeared from the branches and leaves of the inconspicuous locust tree in the ancestral hall. Under the locust tree, there were countless invisible living souls sitting in a cross-legged position. These living souls were so rich in yin that the temperature of the entire ancestral hall dropped several degrees. And from time to time, living souls float out and patrol around the family. It is precisely because of these living souls that the Chen family does not have to worry about being attacked at night, and due to the characteristics of the living souls, it is even more convenient than the patrol team in the clan. In the ancestral hall, Ji Yang was silently absorbing the moonlight, and the sounds of exchanges between several souls just now reached his ears. Just when this person came over, Ji Yang had already dispersed the lunar eclipse technique, so Kai Mao did not see anything unusual about himself. But little did he know that just when Kai Maosheng had the idea, there was already a living soul following behind him. These dead family elders can only hide in Jiang's tree trunks during the day, and can only come out and move around at night. After finally catching an unusual stranger, he naturally refused to let him go. If this person wasn't just curious, the family members would have woken up long ago and captured him. Ji Yang ignored this trivial matter and turned to look at his own panel. Name: Ji Yang. Race: Netherworld Locust Tree. A Vitality: 44.3 A. Supernatural powers: Eye of Insight, Reversal of Elixir Movement, Blindness with One Leaf, Soul Condensation, Armor Covering. Exercise: Lunar Eclipse, Gathering Yin. Combat Skill: Teizu Chengquan can be transferred once. Qi and Blood: 33 can be converted into Vitality. Spiritual Power: 15. Deduction Points: 2. A cannot be deduced. A. Status: You have been using the yin gathering technique for a long time, and your race has changed, but this does not matter, you are still weak. A. After eliminating the consumption of these souls, Ji Yang gained vitality by absorbing moonlight every day, and now it has reached more than 40 points. Even the roots underground have extended a lot again. In addition, the family is now stable and there is no need for Ji Yang to use magical powers, so it is faster to accumulate vitality. I just don't know how long his vitality will be before he can grow new branches and leaves again. Due to the short time, not many people in the family have improved their realm. In the past few days, only 2 young people from the family have reached the early stage of the body tempering realm, contributing 2 deduction points to themselves. This is still far from what he needs for his next deduction. But Ji Yang is not discouraged. As long as the Chen family develops at its current pace, it will not take long before it becomes stronger and becomes the largest family in Burial Mountain. Thinking of this, Ji Yang also thought of the other remaining family in the Burial Mountain. Lu family. Although he is just a tree, news about him is very popular with his roots spreading more than 10 meters underground. In addition, there are countless family souls under the shade of the tree. Even if he doesn't take the initiative to inquire, news from the clan will fall into his ears. When Ji Yang heard about the Lu family, he instinctively felt that this was a big trouble. A family of the same size, when the Chen family and the Li family were fighting, they neither took advantage of the situation, nor actively participated in either party, or even showed any thoughts. There are only 2 situations like this: either the Lu family is independent of the world and just wants to live their own lives. Either the Lu family has bigger plans and looks down on resources like the mass Burial Mountain. The possibility of the former is too small. There is no room for two tigers in one mountain. Whether it is the Chen family or the Li family, if one family is dominant, it will definitely swallow up other families in the mass burial mountain and make the family stronger. Staying aloof from the world means taking the initiative to give up resources, but how could other families think so? Likewise, how could the Lu family, as one of the three major families in Mass Burial Mountain, not know this? What's more, the full picture of the Lu family has not yet been revealed. The family does not even know the specific strength of the Lu family and how many warriors there are in the family. In the case of closed information, it is not known how big the gap between the two families is. And now the initiative is in the hands of the Lu family. Chen Chengming and his party had also analyzed these situations, and even wanted to send souls from the clan to investigate at night. However, this plan was later rejected internally by several people. Although the living soul is invisible, after experiments by Chen Chengming and others, it was discovered that the warrior's energy and blood attacks also have an impact on the living soul. The stronger the qi and blood, the greater the damage to the living soul. The stronger the strength, the stronger the perception. Warriors such as Chen Qingyu, who are in the late stage of blood coagulation realm, have already sensed the approaching living souls. What if the Lu family has stronger warriors? A hasty investigation will only serve to alert the enemy. The enemy cannot move, I cannot move, the current situation is the most suitable for the development of the family. It won't be too late to investigate again when the family becomes stronger. Jaihu, Xuanxi, come out. At the edge of the family square, Chen Tianjing looked at the list in his hand and shouted. In front of Chen Tianjing were the 20 domestic slaves who were selected 7 days ago. At this moment, these domestic slaves looked a little nervous and a little excited, because today is the end of the assessment, and the judging criterion is their performance in these 7 days. Hearing Chen Tianjing call his name, the two figures looked nervous and then slowly walked out of the crowd. The two people are the winged tiger and the black snake who were just called. Although their names are a bit strange, they are very common around the Mass Burial Mountain, because most of them are named after the ferocious beasts in the Mass Burial Mountain. These two people are not conspicuous in the crowd, and they are not outstanding in any aspect. At this moment, after the two people were named, there was a hint of joy in the eyes of other people present. Since these two people are not outstanding, they must be the ones who are eliminated this time. But what Chen Tianjing said next shocked everyone. You two performed well in this domestic slave assessment. From now on, you two will be in charge of other domestic slaves. The two of them looked overjoyed when they heard this. They thought they would never be able to be slaves of the Chen family, but they didn't expect that a twist of events took a turn. Not only did they pass the exam, but their status was also promoted by 1 level. Behind him, other slaves were a little confused, but they didn't dare to refute. But one of them stood up from the crowd and shouted, "Elder of the clan, why is this leader not me, Tian Meng?" Chen Tianjing looked with sharp eyes. Although Tian Meng was a little frightened, he still did not step back. Chen Tianjing sneered twice when he saw this. Forgot to say. Kai Mao and Tian Meng are expelled from the Chen family because they have violated the family rules. They can no longer be slaves of the Chen family. Why, did I do something wrong? Kai Mao ignored the family rules and sneaked into the ancestral hall at night. In the crowd, Kai Mao's face turned pale, but he did not refute. What made him confused was how the Chen family knew that he was not discovered that day. As for you, Tian Meng, you bully the weak and other slaves. This is also against the rules of our Chen family. Unfair, Tian Meng shouted loudly after hearing this, but this time Chen Tianjing had not waited for him to speak. There were tribesmen on the side who tried to teach him a lesson. With just one punch, Tian Meng was knocked down. Since you want to be a slave of my Chen family, you have to follow the rules. This is a small punishment. Tian Meng looked ugly when he fell to the ground, but the punch just made him wake up completely. Although he has some strength, he is by no means a match for a warrior in the middle stage of the body tempering realm, not to mention that Chen Tianjing in front of him is a warrior in the blood coagulation realm. Tian Meng lowered his head slightly, suppressing the hatred in his eyes. Okay, I hope you will strictly abide by the rules of my Chen family from now on. If there are any offenders, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. In addition, This month's monthly salary will also be paid to you in advance. The dozen or so people who were originally frightened were all excited after hearing the news. As for the other 2 people who were expelled, no one continued to pay attention. Time flies, and half a month has passed in the blink of an eye. Today, the Chen family is peaceful. Every morning, there are clan members practicing combat skills and tempering their bodies in the family square. Some wooden houses that were damaged in the early years have now been repaired by the tribesmen, and they have also been painted with a layer of special paint to prevent corrosion. In the field, Chen Tianyu squatted down and carefully inspected the growth of blood rice in the ground. The family had already planted all the fertile fields with blood rice half a month ago. Half a month of growth has also allowed these blood rice to sprout buds. Unfortunately, not all fields can grow bleeding rice. Only some fertile fields will do. If blood rice is planted in ordinary fields, there will be no difference in the rice that grows out. There are not many fertile fields that can grow bleeding rice, even among the 3 previous families. At first, the family wanted to know the reason, but after a final inspection, they found nothing much. They finally guessed that it was due to the fertile soil in the farmland. From a long-term perspective, the importance of blood rice even exceeds the ferocious beast resources in Mass Burial Mountain. After all, no matter how many ferocious beasts there are in Mass Burial Mountain, their number is still limited, and it also takes a long time for the ferocious beasts to grow. Blood rice can be harvested at least 3 times a year. In addition, the yield is quite large, which is suitable for warriors to temper their bodies. It will definitely become the key to the prosperity of the family in the future. Starting next year, the clan will focus on blood rice cultivation. Now that the family has annexed the Li family, the number of fertile fields has doubled. If it can be harvested before winter comes, the warriors in the clan will not have to worry about tempering their bodies for the time being. As the person in charge of this matter, Chen Tianyu would come over every day to check on the growth of the blood rice. Because the farmland was not too close to the family, and considering that wild beasts occasionally escaped from the mountains, the family also built several wooden houses next to the several acres of farmland, and sent warriors from the clan to guard them day and night. As for the ferocious beasts, the warriors sent by the family have long been eliminated. After all, the blood rice is related to the future of the family. After Chen Tianyu's inspection, he couldn't help but frown slightly. Blood rice grows very slowly, and winter comes relatively early in Mass Burial Mountain. The weather is often particularly cold in mid-November. When the weather gets cold, blood rice grows more slowly. It's already late September, and I don't know if I'll have time to harvest a crop. If it hadn't been delayed due to the fight with the Li family, the family's 3rd crop of blood rice would have been harvested long ago. Chen Tianyu stood up slowly, and immediately stopped thinking about it. Everything depends on people and God. I just hope that this year's winter will come slower. In the Mass Burial Mountain, Chen Qingyu and his party were fighting with a black gold beast in the early stage of blood coagulation realm. In order to speed up the hunting, the family divided the high-level warriors into 3 teams, and each team was led by a blood coagulation realm warrior. Chen Qingyu is the leader of this group. There are 5 people in the team who are all young people in their 20s, but their realms are not high. Among them, there are only 2 warriors in the late stage of the body tempering realm, and the others are only in the early stage of the body tempering realm. It is naturally extremely easy for Chen Qingyu to deal with this Wujin beast in the early stage of blood coagulation realm. But at this moment, Chen Qingyu did not take action, but just watched the battle. Just because the patriarch told him that the family cannot rely on just one person, the others must also train and grow in hunting. Even if there is a method of body tempering in the clan, if you have not experienced combat, it will be difficult to use it. In the moment of life and death, it will be difficult to use your own strength. At this moment, the 5 people were fighting with the black gold beast with the help of traps. Although he was in the early stage of the blood coagulation realm, his intelligence was low and he only had brute strength. Even though the black gold beast could easily break a big tree, under the siege of 5 people, his physical strength was gradually exhausted. However, it was still the early stage of the blood coagulation realm. Although the 5 of them had the advantage, they did not dare to push too hard, lest they fall short. Soon, the black gold beast was unable to survive and was close to collapse. In the end, it was successfully solved by 5 people. Brother Qingyu clan, we succeeded. After solving the Wujin beast, several people looked excited. Well done, Chen Qingyu praised. Today, his face is less cold and more approachable, and it goes without saying why. Every night Chen Tianxian would teach him some knowledge in his dream and tell him how to have a good relationship with his tribe. Although Chen Qingyu didn't care about it, this was his father's order and he had to listen. After several people took care of the Wujin beast, a tribesman slowly stepped forward and said, "Brother, should we continue to move forward? There don't seem to be many ferocious beasts around here anymore. In the past half-month, the family's hunting has gradually progressed, and the ferocious beasts outside the mass burial mountain have almost been dealt with." Upon hearing the inquiry, Chen Qingyu looked forward, with a hint of contemplation on her face. Now they are in the center of the outer perimeter of the mass burial mountain, and further forward, they are the inner perimeter of the mass burial mountain, although it is still some distance away from the place where the family's secret road leads. But there are also many ferocious beasts inside. Moreover, the territory of the Shantian realm ferocious beasts is quite wide. If the green wolf really makes its home in mass burial mountain, then if you continue to move forward, you may encounter the green wolf patrolling the territory. If he met him alone, he could only run away, not to mention that he still had several clan members with him. Thinking of the instructions of his father and clan leader, Chen Qingyu shook his head slightly. Today's harvest is almost complete, let's go back. Good. The tribesmen didn't say much, and everyone immediately packed up and prepared to return. On the way back, Chen Qingyu also felt the blood surging in her body. It has been nearly a month since he broke through to the late stage of the blood coagulation realm. During this month, he could feel his own progress, and he also had corresponding feelings about the qi and blood like mercury in the later blood coagulation realm. This is all due to the locust leaf from before, not to mention that as the first member of the family, he also has a certain supply of family resources. However, his current family can't help him much, and he still has to rely on himself to improve his realm. Although I have made a lot of progress in this month, it will take at least a year to reach where I am after using Sephora japonica leaves. As for the innate realm that will follow, he has no clue at all. Not even his father and family can help him in this regard. After all, the strongest warrior in the clan today is in the late stage of blood coagulation realm, and there is a big hurdle between the late stage of blood coagulation realm and the innate realm. While thinking, the group had already seen the family not far away. Chen Qingyu simply stopped thinking about it and prepared to go back and continue practicing. Soon, the group of people walked outside the family door. When the 2 people guarding the gate saw Chen Qingyu coming back, they also cheered. Brother Qingyu is back. As the first person in the family, Chen Qingyu is now known to everyone in the family. Even many family elders are extremely polite to Chen Qingyu. According to the rules of the clan, Chen Qingyu is now the elder of the clan, but Chen Qingyu did not agree, saying that she was of a low seniority and was not qualified for the job. In this regard, Chen Xingzhen did not force it. Chen Qingyu's return caused a burst of cheers from the tribe. Even many domestic slaves looked at the ferocious beasts behind Chen Qingyu with expressions of admiration. If they encountered these ferocious beasts, they would probably become fertilizer for mass graves the next day. Brother Qingyu's team hunted 3 more ferocious beasts today. This time Brother Qingyu's team must be in the lead. That's the strength of Brother Qingyu. Now he is the strongest in the family. The praises from everyone did not make Chen Qingyu proud, but because of these praises, his ears were already ringing with cocoons. It's not good. Someone come quickly, Uncle Tianmodang is injured. Just as everyone was praising him, a figure hurriedly ran out from outside with a very anxious face. Behind him, another group of hunting tribesmen were carrying a person towards the family. This team was another hunting team, led by Chen Tianlu and Chen Tianmo, who had recently become blood coagulation realm warriors. Although the 2 of them had just entered the blood coagulation realm for the first time, their hunting experience was not weak. When the clan members heard that Chen Tianmo was injured, there was a hint of surprise on their faces. However, when they saw Chen Tianmo being carried back, they hurriedly stepped forward to check the situation. I saw Chen Tianmo, who was fine before setting off, but now his chest was bleeding like a column. Even clothes could not block the wound. His face was pale and his breath was weak. It was obvious that he was seriously injured and would die soon. Many tribesmen who saw this scene were also panicked at this moment. The tribesmen on the side quickly spoke. Our team was hunting today. We walked for a long time without seeing any suitable prey, so Uncle Tianmodang and I discussed going deeper. But who would have thought that on the way, a ferocious beast in the middle stage of the blood coagulation realm would suddenly attack us? Uncle Tianmodang didn't react in time and was seriously injured at that time. Then Uncle Tianlu Tang broke up and escaped back. Even Chen Qingyu was frowning at this time. It was difficult to save such an injury. But at this moment, an idea flashed in Chen Qingyu's mind and she hurriedly said, "Quickly, send Uncle Tianmo to the ancestral hall. Pray to the sacred tree for help. Qingming, take me back the way we came as quickly as possible to save Uncle Tianlu." After hearing what Chen Qingyu said, other clan members immediately reacted. Yes, how could they forget about their family and the sacred tree? It's also because they have been busy with many things in the clan recently, and the ancestral hall is closed, so they forgot to pray to the sacred tree. With such an injury, can the sacred tree really save her? Many tribesmen were suspicious. Although the tribesman was seriously injured last time, it was not as serious as this time. At this time, Chen Tianmo's eyes were blank and he obviously couldn't hold on any longer. The clansmen no longer hesitated, and immediately carried Chen Tianmo and rushed towards the ancestral hall. Chen Qingyu took the two of them to Burial Mountain again to rescue Chen Tianlu. On the way to send Chen Tianmo to the ancestral hall, Chen Xingzhen also hurried over after hearing the news. After seeing Chen Tianmo's injury, Chen Xingzhen's eyes trembled slightly, and he hurried towards the ancestral hall without saying anything. In the ancestral hall, Ji Yang, who was listening to the conversation between the two living souls below, soon noticed a group of people rushing towards the ancestral hall. When Ji Yang sensed Chen Tianmo's weak aura, he instantly understood. At this time, the two living souls under the shade of the tree stopped communicating when they saw this. These two living souls were none other than Chen Changming and Chen Tianshan. The two of them can also appear in the ancestral hall during the day through the shade of the trees above, but they cannot be seen by outsiders and they cannot be too far away. After the two of them saw Chen Tianmo being carried in, they sighed. Why, this injury cannot be saved. Both of them were blood coagulation realm warriors before they were alive, but even blood coagulation realm warriors whose bodies have been quenched will still die after suffering huge trauma. And because the muscles and bones of blood coagulation realm warriors have been quenched, it is more difficult to recover after being injured. Such an injury would be difficult to save if the bleeding was not stopped at the beginning. The two of them looked sad, but as living souls, they could only watch silently, unable to help each other. Ahead, after seeing the family sacred tree, Chen Xingzhen quickly calmed down and hurriedly stepped forward to pray. Please ask the sacred tree to take action. Above, Ji Yang did not hesitate. As the locust leaves swayed, many green light spots scattered from the branches and floated towards Chen Tianmo, who was about to die. This time, the green light spots were more intense and more numerous than before, because Chen Tianmo was not only seriously injured, but he was also a blood coagulation realm warrior. If the vitality is too little, it is very likely that it will not be able to be pulled back. By then, there will be one more living soul in this ancestral hall. Although he can be resurrected as a soul, what Ji Yang lacks now is his deduction points. Naturally, he can save one by one of the living clan members. Chen Changming and Chen Changming had a hint of surprise in their eyes when they saw this scene. They were resurrected not long ago, and they had never seen the sacred tree display other divine powers. Besides, when they were resurrected before, didn't they already show their greatest divine power? The two looked at each other with a trace of suspicion in their eyes. If they remembered correctly, even the previous family sacred tree didn't seem to have such magical powers, right? Could it be said that this small section that was split from the previous family sacred tree is more powerful than the original sacred tree? The two looked at each other, but they did not rush to a conclusion, but continued to watch. As a large number of green light spots poured into Chen Tianmo's body, the bleeding wounds that were originally hidden under the piece of red cloth quickly began to heal. Chen Tianmo's pale face gradually began to turn white from deathly gray, and then a trace of rosy appeared on his face. This rosiness became more and more, and Chen Tianmo's breath that was close to nothing was pulled up again. The next moment, Chen Tianmo opened his eyes blankly. When he woke up and saw countless eyes looking at him, a trace of doubt appeared on his face. "Chief, what's going on?" After saying that, Chen Tianmo jumped up from the ground. His figure was extremely strong, and he didn't look like he was seriously injured at all. Chen Tianmo was startled when he saw the red cloth stained with blood on his chest, and the memory of being injured at the mass burial mountain quickly began to recover. Chen Tianmo remembered it and said quickly, "Clan leader, hurry up, Tianlu is still behind." "Don't worry, Qingyu has already gone." Chen Tianmo was relieved when he heard this, but when he saw the intact chest and the sacred tree in front of him, he also understood and hurriedly began to worship the sacred tree. Seeing Chen Tianmo, who had been mostly dead just now, suddenly recover as before, the most shocked people were Chen Chengming and Chen Chengming under the shade of the tree. As for the other tribesmen, their faces were more filled with joy and luck at this moment. It turns out that the sacred tree can even recover from such injuries. Doesn't that mean that as long as they don't die outside the clan, their lives are safe? Wait, even if he dies, it doesn't seem to matter, right? The elders of the clan in the dream said that it was fun there. Not only could they get together for a long time, but they also didn't have to eat. I heard that they chatted every day and practiced when they had nothing to do. Life was so happy. Behind the ancestral hall, Chen Qinghe and Chen Qingmeng, who were still practicing their combat skills, heard the news and rushed over from the clan square. When Chen Qinghe looked at the scene in front of him, his heart moved slightly. He seemed to vaguely remember that he had found an incomplete book of combat skills in the ancestral hall. What do you say that is? No, he has to go look for it. He couldn't practice Teizu Changquan for even a quarter of an hour. It seems to be fierce. Above, Ji Yong looked at Chen Tianmo, who was jumping to life in an instant, and thought silently in his heart. Just now he was worried that Chen Tianmo would die on the spot, so he used 2 points of life force. Now it seems that it won't take so much to revive the warriors who are in the early stage of the blood coagulation realm. He will have to think about it next time. After all, he has finally accumulated these vitality bit by bit. After the clan members left, the ancestral hall became quiet again. Only 2 living souls under the shade of the tree let out a sound of admiration. The 2 of them were looking around Chen Tianmo just now, wanting to take off Chen Tianmo's clothes to see if the injury had completely improved and if there were any sequelae. And the 2 of them did not find any other problems, which surprised them. But then Chen Chengming sighed again. If the family's sacred tree had such magical power back then, how could the family have fallen to where it is now? But if you think about it carefully, this may not be a bad thing. Even the most powerful family will gradually decline as time goes by. The decline of the family back then was also inseparable from the conflicts within the family. Now that he has come back to his life, he will never allow the family to follow the same old path. Looking at the new branches that had just grown on the sacred tree, Chen Chengming felt deeply. Break and then stand, perhaps only by discarding the old shell can new buds grow, just like the current family. Above, Ji Yong looked at Chen Chengming, who was lost in thought, with doubts in his heart. What is this old man muttering about? In the clan, Chen Qingyu soon returned to the clan with Chen Tianlu, who had been divorced. Returning to the family with the 2 men was the body of a azure bull. The azure ox is not that big. Its fur is green all over and it has a single horn. The most important thing is that this ferocious beast is good at hiding and sneak attacks. This azure ox is the culprit that caused the clan members to be injured this time. However, with Chen Qingyu's intervention, the azure bull was quickly beheaded. Chen Tianlu, who came back with him, was only slightly injured. After learning the specifics of the matter, Chen Xingzhen decided to reduce the previous 3 teams to 2 after some thought. One team is in charge of Chen Qingyu, and the other team is in charge of Chen Tianjing. By the way, Chen Tianlu, 2 early-stage blood coagulation realm warriors, are also included in the group. The ferocious beasts on the outskirts of the burial mountain have been hunted by the warriors in the clan for more than half a month, and there are not many left. The remaining beasts are just ordinary beasts. If you want to hunt ferocious beasts, you need to go deeper. In this way, the ferocious beasts encountered will definitely be stronger, and it is extremely important to expand the strength of the hunting team. As for the idea of stopping hunting, Chen Xingzhen has not considered it. Although there is no shortage of food in the clan now, and every hunting harvest is extremely good, it can cope with this winter. However, the new blood rice has not yet grown, and the warriors in the clan still have to rely on the flesh and blood of ferocious beasts to temper their bodies. In addition, they must make sacrifices to the sacred tree every week. In order to ensure that the power of the sacred tree continues, no matter what, a vicious beast in the blood coagulation realm must be sacrificed every week. These expenditures are extremely necessary and cannot be stopped, otherwise the family's improvement will be extremely slow. By the spring of next year, the situation will no longer be so tense, and the family will most likely experience rapid development. At the moment, Chen Xingzhen has nothing else in mind but hopes that his family can survive this winter smoothly. On this day, as soon as Chen Xingzhen walked out of the door, he heard the shouts of his tribe. Clan leader, the sacred tree has changed again. After hearing the news, Chen Xingzhen walked quickly towards the ancestral hall. It had been 10 days since the last time the sacred tree showed its power. In the past 10 days, everything in the clan has been stable, the blood rice has grown normally, and the two new teams have not encountered too many risks during the hunt. Just yesterday, Chen Tianjing understood the combat skill of Teizu Chengquan during hunting, becoming the second person in his clan to comprehend the combat skill. Coupled with the changes in the sacred tree reported by the tribe today, this is all good news. Chen Xingzhen, who came to the ancestral hall, looked up at the sacred tree and looked overjoyed. I saw that the family sacred tree, which was originally only 2 meters tall and as thick as a fist, was now 3 meters tall, and even the trunk was a little thicker. At the top of the trunk, a cluster of new branches and leaves had grown out without knowing when, and they were extremely lush. The changes in the sacred tree made Chen Xingzhen feel a lot happier, because it meant that the family's weekly sacrifices were useful, and it also meant that the sacred tree's power was growing. And just a few days ago, his father communicated through dreams, asking him to write down 2 yellow-level combat skills that had been passed down from his family. One of the combat skills is called Shadow Step, which is a body-style combat skill. Although it is a low-grade yellow-level combat skill, it can allow warriors to move faster and gain an advantage in battle. If you have mastered the combat skills, you can create shadows with your footsteps and enchant your opponents when using them. The other combat skill is a yellow-level mid-level offensive combat skill called Heart Calling Palm. This combat skill can explode the warrior's energy and blood from the inside out, gaining considerable power. If you practice it to perfection, you can damage the enemy's internal organs without causing external injuries. This is also a very famous combat skill of the family. Although the grade is not high, it has been passed down for a long time. In fact, Chen Chengming had already told him about these 2 combat skills in his dream. However, each combat skill was extremely complicated and had a lot of knowledge, so there could not be any mistakes or omissions. In addition, the time in the dream was not long, which led to a rather slow progress. Fortunately, in this month, he finally remembered everything. In 2 days, they can all be memorized, and then the 2 new combat skills can be passed on to the clan members. With these 2 combat skills, the clan's strength will inevitably become stronger. But it was this experience that made him understand the value of the sacred tree's teaching of Kung Fu. You must know that the family sacred tree directly conveys the skills to his mind, and he does not need to take the effort to write them down. After learning about these 2 combat skills at first, Chen Xingzhen was still a little worried. After all, his family was defeated by a rival family and then fled. If the family uses these 2 combat skills now, will the current family attract enemies in the future? However, Chen Chengming's answer made him no longer worry. According to what his father said, the enemy family had a hard time after defeating them, and other families took advantage of it. However, after a battle with the Chen family, the enemy family had no strength and was almost wiped out. In addition, decades have passed, and it is still unknown whether the hostile family exists or not. Moreover, these 2 combat skills were also spread at that time, and there were not a few warriors who learned them. After hearing this answer, Chen Xingzhen no longer had any worries in his heart. After worshipping the family sacred tree, Chen Xingzhen left the ancestral hall. When leaving the ancestral hall, Chen Xingzhen once again looked at the spiritual tablet containing the elders of the clan, and then there was a trace of confusion in his eyes. With the current situation of the family, does he still want to worship these family spiritual tablets? At night, Ji Yang consciously looked up at the sky. The sky is dotted with stars, far clearer and brighter than in the previous life. As a clear ray of moonlight rises, the locust leaves on Ji Yang's branches once again light up with faint fluorescence. But what is different from before is that the fluorescence on the branches and leaves is much brighter tonight, dyeing the entire ancestral hall a bright white color. Just because Ji Yang now has a bunch of new branches and leaves. The reason for this cluster of extra branches and leaves is because Ji Yang's vitality exceeded 100, which led to such a change. Ji Yang silently absorbed the moonlight while opening his own panel. Name: Ji Yang. Race: Netherworld Locust Tree. A vitality: 100.5 A. Supernatural powers: Eye of Insight, reversal of elixir movement, blindness with one leaf, soul condensation, armor covering. Exercise: Lunar eclipse, gathering yin. Combat skill: Teizu Chengquan can be transferred once. Qi and blood: 78 can be converted into vitality. Spiritual power: 22. Deduction points: 6 can be deduced. Status: absorbing moonlight. After the vitality exceeded 100, not only was there a cluster of branches and leaves, but also the roots growing underground had spread 20 meters beyond the ancestral hall. The distance of 20 meters is not too long, nor can the roots cover the entire family. But Ji Yang's roots did not grow along a straight line, but spread out around him in a radius of 20 meters with himself as the center. If you peel away the soil above the roots, you can get a glimpse of Ji Yang's huge roots hidden underground. At this moment, Ji Yang finally understood why he couldn't move after binding his family. People are moved alive, and trees are moved to death. Although he is the family's sacred tree, if he is separated from the soil below, he may not be able to hold on for long. But as he continued to grow stronger, he felt that sooner or later, he would be able to drag out the roots from the ground and walk. The ambitious Ji Yang then turned his attention to his own energy, blood and spiritual power. These preserved qi, blood and spiritual power were obtained from the Chen family's previous sacrifices, and were also reserved by Ji Yang for use in deductions or for emergencies. After more than a month of sacrifice, there is a lot of energy, blood and spiritual power. Even ordinary deductions can be performed 4 times. But only the final deduction points are still in single digits. Without enough deduction points, Ji Yang cannot perform new deductions or multiple deductions. Deduction points need to be obtained from family members who have broken through the realm. But breaking through the warrior realm is not just like eating and drinking, it is just the body tempering realm. Several tribesmen have made progress in the past month, but if they reach the blood coagulation realm, the time to break through each small realm is not just a few months. It can be as short as 1 or 2 years, or as long as several years. Deduction points have also become the most important factor that constrains Ji Yang's deduction. But now Ji Yang has no good solution and can only leave the answer to time. Looking at the button that can be deduced, Ji Yang hesitated. Should he continue to save it, or should he deduce it now? While thinking, Ji Yang remembered the previous deductions and then shook his head. It would be too risky to deduce it like this without any abilities, and now he has done too few multiple deductions to get the optimal choice through comparison. When he performs deductions more often, he will probably know which deduction is more suitable for him. A little impatience will ruin the big plan, so Ji Yang decided to wait for a while. Anyway, now that the family is developing steadily, his vitality is extremely abundant and he can afford it. An hour later, Ji Yang looked at the panel again. The original vitality of 100.4 has now increased to 100.9. The growth rate was much faster than before, but it did not reach 3 times as Ji Yang expected. In other words, as the branches and leaves increase, he can absorb more moonlight, but the further back, the less moonlight will be absorbed. Although it did not reach Ji Yang's expected value, at the current speed, he could absorb 3 points of vitality every night. The improvement is not bad. Unfortunately, he didn't know how much vitality it would take to make the trunk and branches grow again. If he had known that 100 points of vitality could add an extra cluster of branches and leaves, he would definitely not have left his energy and blood untransformed. Ji Yong still doesn't know the next critical point, so he can only grow quietly and wait for his own branches to change. But next time before reaching a critical point, Ji Yong is ready to experiment. Time flies like an arrow, and in a blink of an eye it is already 1 month later. A trace of cold air has drifted to all parts of the burial mountain at some unknown time. Many members of the Chen family have put on thicker clothes, most of which are made of the furs of ferocious beasts. The fur of many ferocious animals not only protects against heat and cold, but also has a certain defensive effect. But now, they have all been made into clothing by the family, and many warriors wear the furs of ferocious beasts in the blood coagulation realm. This made Chen Chengming quite heartbroken after seeing it. If these things were placed in the family of the past, they could be sold at a good price. The family of the past did not have such a mountain behind them. But it's both good and bad. The place where the family is now is too remote, and they can't sell it even if they want to. Therefore, Chen Chengming didn't say much in his dream, but just asked him to collect some unique things from the ferocious beasts. In the ancestral hall, Chen Xingzhen worshipped the sacred tree as usual before getting up and leaving the ancestral hall. 2 days ago, he had withdrawn all his family's hunting team. There are 2 reasons. When the weather gets cold, many ferocious beasts in the mountains will become more violent and aggressive than usual in order to store enough food. Secondly, the family hunting team has gone too deep, and if it continues, it will only result in more losses than gains. During the hunting, many people in the clan were injured. Fortunately, with the protection of the sacred tree, this was not a problem. Even after many tribesmen had seen the exaggerated power of the sacred tree before, they were extremely brave when hunting, and even put themselves in danger. Most of the injured people in the clan came from this. Chen Xingzhen was immediately furious when he learned of the situation, and then issued an order. If anyone was injured again, the family would be severely punished and would be deprived of the qualification to worship the sacred tree. As the leader of the tribe, he certainly understands that the sacred tree has a spirit, and the use of divine power is not without consumption. How can the sacred tree be depleted too much just because the tribesmen act recklessly? After the order was issued, the tribe became much more stable. Just when Chen Xingzhen left the ancestral hall and was about to check on the training status of the warriors in his clan, a figure hurried up from the front. Clan Chief, there is news from Tianyu clan elder that he wants the clan chief to come over in person. Well, I understand. Chen Xingzhen didn't look expressionless after receiving the news, but he was shocked in his heart. Chen Tianyu is responsible for taking care of Shuimi, and has been living there recently, only returning to his clan once in a while. Now that there was news, it was obvious that there was a change in the blood rice matter, and he needed to go take a look immediately. The weather is getting colder and colder. If we can't harvest the blood rice before the heavy snow arrives, I'm afraid we won't be able to harvest this crop. Winter usually lasts for 2 or 3 months. Just relying on the blood and flesh of ferocious beasts in the clan today is not enough for the clan warriors to temper their bodies for such a long time. Therefore, this crop of blood rice is also very important and nothing should be missed. Chen Xingzhen took 2 tribesmen and set off in a hurry. Clan leader. When Chen Xingzhen arrived at Liangtian, he saw Chen Tianyu who looked melancholy. This made Chen Xingzhen feel a little cold. It seemed that the situation was not very good. What happened? Chen Xingzhen asked, his face still calm. Clan leader, the weather has turned cold recently, and these blood rice haven't grown for 2 days. After hearing the situation, Chen Xingzhen quickly walked to the fertile fields to check the growth of the blood rice. In more than 2 months, the blood rice plants that were originally just seedlings have now grown to more than half a person's height, and ears of rice have grown on the tops of these plants. These ears of rice appear light red. Looking around, several acres of spiritual fields are like a sea of AA blood, swaying in the breeze. Logically speaking, it has now reached the fruiting stage of blood rice. It only takes about half a month for blood rice to slowly grow in the rice ears, and the color of the rice ears will also turn dark red. The ears become plump and almost ready for harvesting. But when Chen Xingzhen bent down and pried open the rice ears, the inside was shriveled. Obviously, as the weather turns colder, these blood rice no longer grow, even though they have begun to bear fruit now. Chen Xingzhen checked the other blood rice and found that the situation was mostly the same. Some rice ears have extremely small rice grains, while others have no bleeding rice yet. If left alone, the condition of these blood rice will only get worse and worse, and the efforts of the clan in the past 2 months will be in vain. At this time, many tribesmen around were helpless. After all, this situation did not happen in previous years, because at that time they would avoid the weather and plant in advance. Seeing that other tribesmen were looking at him, Chen Xingzhen knew that he had to find a way. After thinking for a while, Chen Xingzhen had an idea in his mind and immediately spoke. Let the tribesmen surround the fertile fields with soil to see if they can be saved. Good. After hearing what the clan leader said, everyone started to take action. But Chen Xingzhen's face didn't look too happy. Although doing so might increase the temperature in the farmland, as the weather changed, the temperature would only get colder. Chen Tianyu also understands, but there seems to be no other solution at the moment, so he might as well give it a try. There is really no choice but to give up, but this will greatly affect the development of the family. Looking at the busy clan members, Chen Xingzhen gave some instructions and then walked towards the family. The area of a fertile farmland is not small. Even if it is just to build a circle of earth walls around the outside, it is not easy. Moreover, these earth walls should not be too short, at least they must block the growing blood rice. He was going to go back and mobilize some tribesmen to help. Chen Xingzhen, who was quite anxious, quickly returned to his family and sent many of his idle clan members to the fertile fields. Before Chen Xingzhen could take a break, another clan member came to report. Clan leader, the members of the family seem to be practicing a new combat skill recently. Quote? Chen Xingzhen cast a doubtful look at the clan member who reported the matter. A month ago, he had already distributed the 2 new combat skills that he had completely recorded. After the new combat skills were distributed, many tribesmen had already started practicing because the 2 combat skills were not of high grade. Now all the blood coagulation realm warriors in the family have mastered it, but they are not proficient enough. Even many body tempering realm warriors in the family have also gained some achievements. But now he was told that his tribe was practicing new combat skills, which puzzled him and asked hurriedly. What kind of combat skill is it? The tribesman who reported the report shook his head. It's definitely not the 3 combat skills that the clan has had before. Chen Xingzhen was even more confused when he heard this. Apart from these 3 combat skills, are there other combat skills in the clan? He is the clan leader, how come he doesn't know about it? Chen Xingzhen immediately called several clan members to inquire about the situation, and soon learned the source of the new combat technique. It is said that it was first reported from the mouths of Chen Qinghe and Chen Qingmeng in the clan. This gave Chen Xingzhen a vague premonition. Just because Chen Qinghe had been restless since he was a child, he suspected that the 2 machetes under the sacred tree that day were the good deeds of Chen Qinghe. However, when the sacred tree was born, he did not pursue it. He never thought that there would be a new combat skill in the clan. Chen Xingzhen's face was quite solemn. Combat skills were not a piece of cake. Every combat skill was obtained by countless warriors after countless experiments. Many combat skills are often inherited from the same family, so that they will not be cut off. And creating combat skills is extremely risky. If something goes wrong, the warrior's muscles and veins will be disordered, and in serious cases, the body will explode and die. Chen Qinghe is only in the early stage of body tempering. Is it because he saw 3 combat skills and wanted to create a new one? This kid is too courageous. No, he had to ask quickly to avoid causing catastrophe to the family. Soon, the 2 of them were brought to Chen Xingzhen. I've met my 4th uncle. I've met the clan leader. As if he knew something was wrong, Chen Qinghe smiled and stopped addressing the clan leader. Only Chen Qingmeng on the side looked curious, not knowing why the clan leader called the 2 of them over. Seeing Chen Qing approaching the river, Chen Xingzhen's face turned pale again and he asked hurriedly. I heard that you are learning a new combat skill recently. What kind of combat skill it is? Please tell me quickly. Seeing Chen Xingzhen's solemn expression, Chen Qinghe did not dare to hide it and immediately took out a shabby book from his arms. The book was gray and yellow, stained with a lot of dust that could not be wiped clean, and only a few large characters on the book could be vaguely seen. The 5 internal organs ascension technique. Chen Xingzhen was stunned when he saw these big characters, and a dusty memory slowly emerged from his mind. Humans have 5 internal organs. It is said that the 5 internal organs contain the powerful power of the human body, but ordinary people cannot bring it into play. After the warrior tempers his body and condenses his qi and blood, his 5 internal organs become even more powerful. This technique of ascending the 5 internal organs to heaven is indeed a combat skill, and it is also a combat skill specially used to bring out the power hidden in the 5 internal organs of the warrior. Moreover, this combat skill is extremely easy, even a warrior in the body tempering realm can easily learn it. But using this combat skill has extremely negative effects, because every time it is used, one of the 5 internal organs in the body needs to be exploded, thereby stimulating the power within it. But even the most powerful warrior can only use it 4 times in his life. As for the 5th time, I guess no one could survive after their heart was blown out. This combat skill was accidentally acquired by the family when they migrated. At that time, the family valued its power and let several clan members learn and use it. The power of this combat skill is indeed good, but the cost is extremely serious. Even if it only explodes 1 organ, it will make the warrior regret it for the rest of his life and lead to a miserable end. After realizing the shortcomings of this combat technique, he hid it when his family was standing on the mass burial mountain. It had been so long that he had already forgotten or did not want to think of this combat skill. After all, every time a combat skill was used, a clan member would die. With this fighting skill, even if he managed to survive, his family would not be able to grow. I don't know what the warrior who created this combat technique had in mind. It wasn't until he saw this combat skill again today that he recalled the unbearable past. Where did you find it? Didn't I hide this combat skill? Chen Qinghe scratched his head. I accidentally saw it in the family ancestral hall. I thought it would be wasted if I left it there, so I took it out and wanted to let the clan members learn from it. After hearing this, Chen Xingzhen's beard couldn't help but tremble. He didn't destroy this combat skill at first, so he placed it in the ancestral hall, and placed it quite secretly. No matter what, Chen Qinghe dug it out. This is not asking the tribesmen to learn, this is asking the tribesmen to die. However, he has not heard other warriors in the clan talking about this combat skill recently, so the news about the combat skill has not spread yet. It's probably not too late to remedy the situation now. Thinking of this, Chen Xingzhen asked hurriedly, "When did you get it? You probably haven't had time to spread the news yet, right? Even the clan members don't know about it, right?" Seeing the expectation and prayer in Chen Xingzhen's eyes, Chen Qinghe's voice became much softer and he muttered. "About a month ago, I took it out when I went to the ancestral hall to worship my ancestors. It's not passed down. This is a family combat skill. I only told my clan members. Most of the tribe should have learned it by now. By the way, Brother Qingyu also borrowed it for a day of study a few days ago." When it came to telling only his clan members, Chen Qinghe was very proud. He is a member of the family, how can he let such combat skills be spread to the outside world? But Chen Qinghe's every word was like an ice blade piercing Chen Xingzhen's heart. Until he heard that Chen Qingyu had also borrowed it for a day of study a few days ago, Chen Xingzhen's heart felt cold. This kid used all his strength to capture members of his own family. If it takes a few more days, I'm afraid the entire clan will learn the lesson, and there will really be a family war, with a kidney bursting here and a liver bursting there. When the war is over, the family is finished. Chen Xingzhen quickly calmed down. Fortunately, the family is now stable. There won't be a war for a while, and everything can still be repaired. Clan leader. At this time, a figure walked quickly from outside. The visitor was none other than Chen Tianjing. After seeing Chen Qinghe standing, Chen Tianjing immediately snorted. "I'll take care of you when I get home." "Tianjing, what's the matter?" Seeing Chen Tianjing, Chen Xingzhen quickly broke away from his thoughts. After taking back the family hunting team a few days ago, Chen Tianjing was sent out to inquire about the Liu family's situation. Clan leader, the Liu family seems to have taken some action in the past few days. Chen Xingzhen's expression became serious after hearing the news, and he immediately asked Chen Qinghe and others to leave. It would not be too late to discuss the matter of combat skills later. Tianjing, tell me in detail. Yesterday, I discovered that members of the Lu family appeared all over the mass burial mountain. They were holding iron hoes and seemed to be digging for something. There were also several blood coagulation realm warriors among them. I was worried about being discovered by them, so I didn't dare to take a closer look. As Chen Tianjing reported, Chen Xingzhen's brows furrowed deeper. Even during the previous family war, the Lu family never took any action. Why did the Lu family take action in the past few days? Digging. What can be dug from the mass graves? What is the purpose of the Lu family? Did the Lu family engage in similar behavior before this? Many doubts appeared in Chen Xingzhen's mind one by one. However, because the clan had been fighting against the Li family in the past few years, they had no intention of checking on the Lu family, so they knew nothing about the Lu family's current actions. But what is certain is that the Lu family must have their purpose in doing this. After hearing the report on the number of warriors in the Lu family, Chen Xingzhen felt even more worried and frightened. According to Chen Tianjing, there were no less than 7 or 8 blood coagulation realm warriors he observed, and among them there were 2 or 3 late-stage blood coagulation realm warriors. Moreover, what was observed was only a small part of the Lu family and was not comprehensive. In other words, the Lu family had at least a dozen blood coagulation realm warriors. Although another member of the clan was promoted to the blood coagulation realm this month, even if he is included as the clan leader, there are only 7 blood coagulation realm warriors in the clan, and 3 of them have only recently arrived at the blood coagulation realm. This number and level are incomparable to the Lu family, and there is a huge gap in combat power between the two. If the Lu family wants to take action, the family may not have much chance. In addition, the ancestor of the family also completely stopped after the last war and is now lying upright in the coffin, which has weakened the family's strength. And Chen Xingzhen really didn't expect that the Lu family, which had been lurking silently, would be so powerful. Fortunately, the family still has a sacred tree, which can make up for a certain gap in combat power. But thinking of this, Chen Xingzhen was stunned again. Since the Lu family, which has been hiding in secret, is so powerful, will they have their own family totem? It is understandable that the Li family does not have a totem. After all, the Li family still belongs to a small family in Mass Burial Mountain. However, the origins of the Lu family are mysterious, and they have only been in Mass Burial Mountain for a few years. It is very likely that they have their own family totem just like their own family. If the Lu family also has a family totem, then the advantage of the sacred tree will no longer exist. After thinking for a while, Chen Xingzhen said slowly, "First withdraw the clan members outside and stop prying. As long as the Lu family does not threaten the family, ignore them." "Well, I understand." Chen Tianjing nodded silently. Of course he also knows the gap between the two families. If the Lu family really has other intentions, the family's current situation may be more dangerous than the duel with the Li family in the past few months. What the family has to do now is to pretend not to see it. Even when the Lu family crosses the line, they also pretend not to see it. Although it sounds unpleasant, the gap in strength makes the family silent now. Family prosperity is imminent. Likewise, the clan still lacks a high-level warrior. I don't know when Qingyu will have hope of breaking through the innate realm. Chen Xingzhen decided to ask his father Chen Chengming that night. As the previous family patriarch, his father must know more than himself in this area, so he can give Chen Qingyu some experience. The family is like this. If an elder breaks through to a higher realm, he will definitely teach the younger generations of the family everything they have and will not hide anything for themselves. This is also the key to the long history of the family. Just as Chen Tianjing was about to leave, Chen Xingzhen suddenly stopped him. "By the way, do you know about the new combat skills in the clan, Tianjing? Is the patriarch talking about the art of ascending the 5 internal organs to heaven?" "Yes, this matter is also extremely important." "Tianjing, you haven't learned this combat skill, have you?" Hearing Chen Xingzhen's inquiry, Chen Tianjing also scratched his head. Seeing this scene, Chen Xingzhen didn't understand anything, and Chen Tianjing probably learned it too. Chen Xingzhen let out a sigh. "Hey, this combat skill is harmful to Tianhe. If it is passed down, it will be harmful to the family. Even if the family has a sacred tree that can display divine power, it is still unknown whether the sacred tree can completely cure the sequelae left by this combat skill. Hearing what Chen Xingzhen said, Chen Tianjing couldn't help but frown at this moment. Indeed, he had thought too simply before, and the reason why the clansmen learned this combat technique was because they had seen the divine tree display its divine power a few days ago, so the clansmen rushed to practice this technique of ascending the 5 internal organs to heaven. But if after using this combat skill, the sacred tree is unable to recover, wouldn't the family become even more declining? You must know that every time an organ is lost, it will cause huge damage to the body, and there are descriptions of the loss of corresponding organs in combat skills. Chen Tianjing, who understood the importance of the matter, immediately said, "Clan leader, it's probably too late to remedy the situation now. I'm going to call over the clan members who have learned this combat skill." But Chen Xingzhen just waved his hand and said, "That's all. Now that most of the clan members have learned it, it's probably too late. Let's do this. I'll go ask the sacred tree for instructions tonight." Chen Tianjing nodded in agreement after hearing this. If the sacred tree can solve the sequelae of this combat skill, the family's strength will rise to a higher level out of thin air, and it can even explode with huge power at critical moments. And Chen Xingzhen also had his own thoughts in mind. If it were before today, he would definitely take corresponding measures to block this combat skill again. But now the Lu family has made some moves. Although it has not yet collided with the family, it also made him feel a hint of crisis. He needed to prepare for the worst. If there is a sacred tree to help, this 5 internal organs ascending to heaven technique may not be a powerful combat skill. Then Chen Xingzhen thought of the blood rice in the fertile fields again, and felt a headache for a while. Difficulties came one after another, making him feel powerless. Tonight he had to ask his father if he had any good ideas. The 5 internal organs ascension technique. In the ancestral hall, Ji Yang was shocked when he learned about this combat skill. In Chen Tianjun's narration, Ji Yang finally knew what Chen Qinghe had secretly found after worshipping at the ancestral hall last month. After knowing the effect of this combat skill, Ji Yang secretly thought, "Awesome." He really couldn't imagine which genius actually created this combat skill. Isn't using this combat skill the same as committing suicide? Even though Ji Yang is not a warrior, he still knows the importance of the 5 internal organs of the body. Although his vitality healing effect is powerful, if he loses his brain and heart, no matter how much vitality he has, it will be of no use. He can only save lives, but cannot bring the dead back to life. But if it's other organs, it doesn't seem impossible. Ji Yang was thoughtful. Now that he has a blind eye, he can also temporarily improve the strength of his tribe. The two may be different in form. One transfers vitality directly, while the other transforms vitality into qi and blood through the use of magical powers. But the essence of the two is the same. Whether it is to use magical powers to blind one's eyes or to treat the injuries of tribesmen, all the energy is consumed. If the 5 internal organs ascension technique is more effective and saves less vitality, it can be regarded as a way to improve the strength of the Chen family. Only the specific effects have yet to be tested. Below, Chen Xingzhen, who had finished telling the story, was silently waiting for the response from the sacred tree. But seeing that the sacred tree didn't make any move for a long time, Chen Xingzhen felt a chill in his heart. It seems that even the family sacred tree cannot do it. In this way, tomorrow he should consider how to take back the scattered combat skills. Those tribesmen who have learned this combat skills must also be carefully warned not to use them. Just when Chen Xingzhen was thinking about how to resolve the aftermath, several green light spots floated down, landed in Chen Xingzhen's hands, and then disappeared. Seeing the divine tree's response, Chen Xingzhen's face exuded a hint of joy. If there are no serious side effects from using this 5-organ ascension technique, the power that the family can unleash in desperate situations will definitely surprise their enemies. But Chen Xingzhen also noticed that there were only 4 green light spots falling down just now. Could this be the divine tree telling itself that it can only explode the 4 internal organs at most? But this also gave Chen Xingzhen some confidence. Afterwards, Chen Xingzhen once again began to talk about the recent family affairs, and asked how to solve the problem of blood rice growth and how the other Lu family should deal with it. But this time Chen Xingzhen was not praying to the sacred tree, but talking to himself in the air in front of the tree trunk. In front of Chen Xingzhen's invisible sight, several living souls were listening carefully to Chen Xingzhen's story. This is what Chen Chengming told him in a dream before, saying that all the deceased members of the family lived in the ancestral hall. In order to save time in dreams, Chen Xingzhen decided to tell the matter before going to bed, and his father would tell him the results of the discussion in his dreams, which would be faster and more convenient. Above, Ji Yang naturally heard Chen Xingzhen's description. Ji Yang didn't know anything about blood rice, and he had never farmed before. He had only seen blood rice and thought the color of the rice was pretty good, but he couldn't help much when it came to planting it. However, after hearing the description of the Lu family, Ji Yang became serious. Especially after hearing Chen Xingzhen's speculation that the Lu family might also have a family totem. Family totems are unique to this world. Ji Yang knew this when he first turned into a tree, but unfortunately he didn't have much memory about this aspect. After Chen Chengming and other elders of the Chen family were resurrected, they occasionally talked about this matter. Ji Yang also got a general idea and had a certain understanding of the family totem. There are many types of family totems, and they are not limited to one type. They may be flowers, trees, or other seemingly inconspicuous things such as a stone. However, as a family totem, the only element is that it must have a spirit. Only spiritual things have the potential to become family totems. Although this world is large, there are not many spiritual things. It can even be said to be extremely rare. Even if there are any, they will be snatched away by the big families once discovered and will not be left to other small families. This seems to be the problem of many big families: tacit understanding. Logically speaking, in a small place like Mass Burial Mountain, people probably don't even know what a totem is, just like the Li family. If the Li family had a totem, the Chen family today would probably no longer exist. As for the Chen family, it is an exception. After all, the Chen family was still a big family 100 years ago, and it is not surprising that some families have lingering shadows. The Lu family of Mass Burial Mountain should not be underestimated either, and this Lu family is most likely not a native family of Mass Burial Mountain. It doesn't seem strange to have a family totem. Chapter 71. Although Chen Chengming and other family members have a certain understanding of family totems, they don't know much. After all, when the family was once glorious, several of them were young. Even within the family, they could only gaze at the glory of the family's sacred tree from a distance. By the time they reached adulthood, the family had declined, and all that was left to them was a broken branch of the sacred tree. Because of this, Ji Yang is also more curious about other family totems. If the Lu family has a family totem, what does their family totem look like? What is its function? Ji Yang really wanted to see it. Unfortunately, according to Chen Xingzhen's description, the current Lu family is simply not something the Chen family can afford to offend. There is a huge gap in strength between the two. Even if the clan now has the 5 internal organs ascension technique in its own life force supply, it is difficult to be an enemy. If a fight really breaks out, not to mention looking at the other party's family totem, one's own roots will probably be pulled out. Chen Xingzhen's story also gave Ji Yang, who had been living a stable life for 2 months, a sense of crisis again. It seems that he can't lie down yet. At the same time, it also made Ji Yang, who was still hesitant at first, secretly make a decision. After Chen Xingzhen finished describing the situation, he left the ancestral hall and walked towards the room. Under the shade of the tree, Chen Chengming and other living souls of the family backbone were discussing what Chen Xingzhen just said. One person's shortcomings, everyone's shortcomings. Without a body, they cannot take care of their family's safety, but their memories are still there and they can think and make suggestions for their family. The current problem lies in the growth of Shui Mi and finding out the purpose of the Lu family. After everyone discussed it, a decision was quickly made. After a while, Chen Chengming's figure floated away, preparing to fall asleep and tell Chen Xingzhen about everyone's countermeasures. As for the other living souls, they are all sitting cross-legged in various places in the ancestral hall at the moment, practicing with the help of the yin qi emanating from the jiang tree trunks. At first, everyone thought that they were just resurrected as souls, and that this was how their lives ended. But then they discovered that as the yin qi increased, their souls would become more solid, and they could sleep longer. Even their memory was much better, and they could recall things they had forgotten. Moreover, they also discovered that the strength during life seemed to determine the richness of yin qi in the soul. For example, Chen Chengming was the only Shantian realm warrior in his family. In terms of soul body, there is also a clear gap with other living souls. The absorption of yin energy for more than 2 months allowed Chen Chengming to be active during the day for a short time without resorting to the shade of the sacred tree. Although the activity lasted only a few breaths, this discovery made many souls very moved. Because they also want to see Bairi's family, experience the vitality of the family, and see the growth of the younger generations in the family. However, with their current soul strength, it is still difficult to achieve, so they need to work harder. Although you can practice in the space of a tree trunk during the day, the effect is not as fast as clinging to the sacred tree at night. Looking at the many living souls sitting quietly and practicing below, Ji-Yang also slowly looked away. He could feel these souls gradually getting stronger, just like those living souls in the netherworld. But that's a good thing. Because these living souls don't know that they have another magical power. Ji-Yang was also curious about how powerful they could be when they were covered in armor. But soon, Ji-Yang looked at his own panel. Name: Ji-Yang. Race: Netherworld Locust Tree. Vitality: 200.2. Supernatural powers: Eye of Insight, Reversal of Elixir Movement, Blindness with 1 leaf, Soul Condensation, Armor Covering. Exercise: Lunar Eclipse, Gathering Yin. Combat Skill: Teizu Chengquan can be transferred once. Qi and Blood: 88 can be converted into Vitality. Spiritual Power: 24. Deduction Points: 14, can be deduced. Status: Absorbing Moonlight. It has been a month since the last time he rescued Chen Tianmo. During this month, Ji-Yang was able to absorb 3 points of vitality every night. 1 month is not enough time for Ji-Yang to push his vitality to 200 points, not to mention that Ji-Yang will be consumed in the middle of the process by using his magical powers to heal his tribe. However, when his vitality reached 180 points, Ji-Yang took the initiative to convert 40 points of energy and blood, wanting to see if 200 points of vitality could allow him to grow new branches and leaves again. Unfortunately, 200 points of vitality is not enough. During this month, the Chen family sacrificed once a week, and the sacrifices were from ferocious beasts in the blood coagulation realm. This also resulted in Ji-Yang having a lot of qi and blood now. If the vitality was not transformed, the qi and blood today would also have a certain amount. It's over 100. It's a pity that the spiritual power has not increased much, and even 2 of the ferocious beasts have not increased at all, but fortunately it is still enough. There are now 14 deduction points, among which 1 tribesman has been promoted to the blood coagulation realm, and 6 body tempering realm tribesmen have improved, much better than the previous month. According to Ji Yang's original intention, he planned to save more and then conduct multiple deductions. But Chen Tianjun's story today forced Ji Yang to make up his mind in advance. A tiger has a mind that is harmless to people, but a tiger has the intention to hurt others. Now Ji Yang had to face the gap in strength between the 2 families. Although the 2 sides did not interfere with each other before, the Chen family is now weak and the Liu family has taken action again. If the future of the family is entrusted to the kindness of the enemy, then the Chen family is not far from destruction. Strengthening yourself is the key. Even if it wasn't for the Chen family, Ji Yang had to think about himself. He didn't want to have a lot of unused points when the Liu family warriors came to the ancestral hall. The most important thing is to transform the current resources into your own strength. Although the deduction points were not many, Ji Yang couldn't care about it anymore. This deduction requires 20 blood, 10 spiritual power, and 10 deduction points. Do you want to continue? Weather. Note: this is a double deduction. During the deduction, you can randomly bring your own abilities into the deduction. Note: the higher the deduction multiplier, the easier it is to unlock rare maps. Looking at the familiar prompt, Ji Yang no longer hesitated and clicked yes. The familiar scene strikes again. Countless maps jumped in front of my eyes. Ji Yang saw in it the netherworld that he had entered during the last multiple deduction. If this world can be randomly reached in this deduction, it would be a good result. After all, his body is already a netherworld locust tree. To grow in the underworld, One must have the right time and place, like a fish in water. Unfortunately, the netherworld flashed by and soon disappeared before Ji Yang's eyes. When the revolving lantern map in front of him gradually began to slow down, Ji Yang's originally calm heart could not help but feel some fluctuations. Who invented the dog system? When the scene in front of him paused, a piece of snow-white color appeared in Ji Yang's field of vision. Before Ji Yang could see the details clearly, the world in front of him changed again. When his vision was restored, Ji Yang could see clearly the surrounding scene. Crowded, crowded, very crowded. This was Ji Yang's first feeling. At this time, he is still a small sapling, but it is a bit larger than the previous single-fold deduction, but it does not fully integrate his external size into the world of the deduction like the last 5-fold deduction. It seems that the more times the deduction is made, the stronger his own strength will be. Just like every time the deduction is doubled, he will bring an ability of his own. Thinking of his own ability, Ji Yang quickly felt it. According to the rules of deduction, he can carry an ability into the deduction if he performs the deduction twice. After a while, Ji Yang's eyes lit up and he felt it. The ability I carry this time is root strengthening. This is probably the best result. Currently he has 3 abilities, namely root strengthening, high temperature resistance, and perseverance. Among them, the 2 abilities of root strengthening and perseverance are relatively versatile and can be used no matter where he is. As for high temperature resistance, it can only be used in special situations. However, Ji Yang felt that strengthening the roots would be more effective than perseverance. Without giving Ji Yang much time to think, a line of subtitles quickly appeared in front of Ji Yang's eyes. You were born in a snowfield. In order to become a towering tree as soon as possible, you began to work hard to grow. Looking at the subtitles in front of him, Ji Yang was stunned. Snow. It seemed right. After randomly arriving at the screen, he did see a vast expanse of white color. But when Ji Yang looked around, there was a hint of doubt in his eyes. Where's the promised snow? Why did he see only yellow soil? Forget it, Ji Yang didn't care about this. When the subtitles disappeared, Ji Yang also worked hard to use the roots to strengthen this skill. Although life force cannot be used to strengthen in the deduction world, it can make his roots more powerful and also allow Ji Yang to choose the direction of growth independently. Soon, Ji Yang found the soil suitable for his survival through his roots. Although the soil here was very hard, it could not withstand Ji Yang's efforts to grow. As time accelerated, Ji Yang's figure became stronger and stronger, and he, who was originally just a seedling, gradually grew taller. However, because of the complicated terrain above, Ji Yang struggled to grow out after many twists and turns. When Ji Yang's tree trunk became as thick as a thumb, the crowding around him disappeared. Ji Yang looked around and saw that everything was covered with thick snow. The world was vast, only the touch of green on his branches looked quite dazzling. At this moment, Ji Yang realized that the map was not wrong, but he grew up in the cracks of the soil under the snow and could not get a glimpse of the scenery on the ground for the first time. But when Ji Yang's branches gradually grew taller, he soon realized something was wrong. Just because he was not afraid of the cold when he was under the snow, but when the branches grew taller, he had to face the attack of cold wind and air conditioning. He doesn't have low temperature resistance, so it's probably hard to survive. As soon as the thoughts in Ji Yang's mind emerged, new subtitles appeared in front of him. The cold wind is howling in the snow, and the weather is getting colder. In order to resist the cold, what do you choose? Inject more nutrients into the bark, inject more nutrients into the leaves, inject more nutrients into the roots. There were still 3 choices, but after looking at these 3 choices, Ji Yang felt hesitant. Different choices mean different results, which may be good or bad. Ji Yang doesn't know which option is better, but he can think based on his previous deduction experience. If you inject nutrients into the bark yourself, it is likely that your bark will become more cold resistant. After the deduction is over, the related abilities in bark will definitely be obtained. But now that he grew up in an ancestral hall, the family secret passage has been closed, and there is no great danger for the time being, so Ji Yang eliminated this option. As for the second option, inject nutrients into the leaves. Ji Yang thought for a moment and dismissed it. Where can I use leaves to resist the cold? He was worried that he would not be able to survive if he chose one. Of course, based on previous experience, choosing this might not cause problems, but Ji Yong was not prepared to take risks. After eliminating 2 options, Ji Yong could only choose the third option. Inject more nutrients into the roots. In fact, it stands to reason that injecting nutrients into the bark should be the best choice. After all, bark is the key to keeping a tree warm. But Ji Yong is unreasonable, and neither is the world. In addition to bark, roots are also very important. Of course, more importantly, the ability Ji Yong carries this time is root strengthening. This is also the reason why Ji Yong chose the third one. After making the decision, Ji Yong decisively clicked on the last option. When the subtitles disappeared, Ji Yong was also able to sense the condition of his body. Originally, the nutrients absorbed by the roots should have gone towards the trunk, branches and leaves to make themselves stronger, but now these nutrients stayed on the roots and stagnated. As nutrients increase, the original roots begin to expand rapidly. During the expansion, Ji Yong slowly felt a warmth from the roots. But the good times did not last long. After most of the nutrients were absorbed by the roots underground, Ji Yong's bark gradually stopped growing and its color began to change. The few green leaves gradually began to turn yellow, and then fell into the snow and were buried by the snow. Seen from a distance, Ji Yong at this moment does not look like a tree, but more like a dead branch stuck in the ground. Seeing that no new subtitles were triggered after his choice, Ji Yong knew that his choice might be wrong, but as long as he didn't die, it was right, but the direction of growth was different. Slowly, Ji Yang's roots became warmer and warmer, as if something had changed after more nutrients were injected into them. Even the snow on the roots gradually began to melt. As spring passes and autumn comes, time passes quickly. Whenever Ji Yang's roots expand further, the snow above will melt. Gradually, with Ji Yang as the center, everything for miles around returned to its original state, and a patch of green gradually grew back from the cold snow. As the area expands and the temperature drops, the tree trunks that stopped growing in Ji Yang are also rejuvenated, and new green leaves slowly grow. Seeing this scene, Ji Yang's heart finally stabilized. This time it was really a fluke, and fortunately the new ability he carried was root strengthening, otherwise he might not have been able to survive until now. Slowly, Ji Yang's tree trunk became stronger and stronger, the green leaves on the branches gradually became more and more lush, and the roots underground also spread wider. A new oasis, because of the changes in Ji Yang, gradually emerged from this dry snow. At this time, Ji Yang's growth height has exceeded several previous deductions, and it seems to be the most successful one. At least in the previous deduction, he did not live this long. When Ji Yang looked at the greenery all over the ground and the many creatures living in this green land, Ji Yang also felt a sense of accomplishment in his heart. When one person attains enlightenment, chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. Nothing more than that. But then Ji Yang felt confused again. A long time has passed, but why hasn't he seen new subtitles appear? This made Ji Yang instinctively sense that something was wrong. New subtitles often represent changes in the plot. Although you may be in danger of death if you make the wrong choice, there is also a glimmer of opportunity amid the danger. At least most of the magical powers or techniques he has obtained now are due to the choices he made in the new plot. Being plain is a blessing, but he feels that being too plain is not good. The most important thing is, if there is no new plot, will he gain something? Could it be said that he will continue to grow like this? Just as Ji Yang was thinking, he noticed something abnormal about himself. Ji Yang looked around and saw that the originally green leaves were gradually withering, the rough bark slowly began to fall off, and the hard trunk gradually lost the hardness it should have. Only the roots underground are getting hotter and hotter. Burning, burning, he seems to be wilting. Before Ji Yang could save himself, a line of subtitles appeared in front of Ji Yang's eyes. The roots of the mutation have overdrawn a lot of your lifespan, and you will die of old age. When the subtitles disappeared, Ji Yang's tree trunk quickly began to dismember, and the roots that were originally exuding vitality quickly lost their warmth. Ice and snow covered the greenery again, covering up all traces, and everything returned to its original appearance. The picture in front of Ji Yang gradually faded. Just when Ji Yang was sighing in his heart, he saw a young figure running at great speed in the blurry picture. The young man came to the place where Ji Yang grew up before, and silent words came out of his mouth. Ji Yang couldn't hear it, but he saw the regret on the young man's face and discerned what the young man said through the shape of his mouth. I'm late. Ji Yong had many thoughts in his mind, and then the world in front of him completely collapsed. When Ji Yong opened his eyes again, there were still familiar ancestral halls around him. This time Ji Yong was not in a hurry to check the results of the deduction, but carefully recalled the scene he had just seen, feeling a little surprised in his heart. He originally thought that this deduction was just a show-off, and that everything in it was false, illusory, and non-existent. The whole world serves him. When he opens his eyes, the world comes into being. When he closes his eyes, the world dies. But what he just saw made him feel a little suspicious. Are those places really fake? If they are fake, why does the young man who appears in the last scene look regretful? But if it is true, how can we explain the rapid passage of time in the deduction world? Ji Yong didn't quite understand, but this deduction made Ji Yong pay attention. Perhaps, the world of deduction is more interesting than I imagined. Unfortunately, he still knew too little and needed to get corresponding clues from more deductions to answer his doubts. When his thoughts broke away, Ji Yong no longer thought about it. The deduction world is too far away from him now, and it is not something he should consider now. At present, what he should consider more is when he can completely establish a foothold in this world, instead of worrying about the Chen family being destroyed or himself being killed every day. End of deduction. You have learned a new ability in this deduction, low temperature resistance. You have learned a new ability in this deduction, free growth. You have realized a new magical power in this deduction, Chi-Chi Chisato. Low temperature resistance. You can grow in extremely cold places. Free to grow. You can grow into what you want. Chi-Chi Chisato. You can consume a certain amount of vitality to give the roots terrifying high temperatures. Ji Yong concentrated, looking at the new gains from this deduction, but he was not very satisfied. If we look at the length of time, he survived for a long time this time, so the harvest should be good. But in fact, it is not the case. Moreover, he who deduces the world seems to have a lifespan limit. I guess I experienced too few plots and didn't trigger many subtitles. Ji Yong understood in his heart, and at the same time, he no longer struggled, and turned to look at what he had gained from this deduction. Low temperature resistance. Ji Yong was not surprised to get this ability. Compared with high temperature resistance, low temperature resistance seems to be more suitable for Ji Yong now. As the temperature of the burial mountain dropped, Ji Yong felt the same even though he was just a tree. If he waited for a while, Ji Yong felt that he might also undergo some changes due to the influence of the weather. But after having this ability, he no longer needs to pay attention. Growing freely, Ji Yong felt envious when he saw the explanation of this new ability. How wonderful it would be if I could give this new ability to my past life self. Unfortunately, it has little effect on the current Ji Yong. After all, he is just a tree now. A tree, no matter how beautiful it looks, is of no use. But it's not completely useless. At least he can choose to be indifferent. Finally, Ji Yong looked at the only magical power he had harvested this time. The Red Land is thousands of miles away. It sounds very good. It can make its own roots emit terrifying high temperatures. But thinking about it carefully, Ji Yong felt that this magical power was not very useful. As the family's sacred tree, if it was his turn to take action, the family would probably be almost finished. It would be difficult to change the overall situation with this magical power. In addition, Ji Yong has always been skeptical about this certain vitality. If the vitality is too little, you may not feel anything. If the temperature is too high, the vitality consumed may not be something you can bear. With this vitality, he might as well use Yi to blind his eyes to enhance the strength of his people. But then Ji Yong thought about the family's recent problem. The blood rice stopped growing because the temperature was too low. If he uses this magical power, can he solve this problem? Ji Yong thought for a while and prepared for 1 or 2 experiments. As Ji Yong used his magical power, the roots buried underground reacted, and a weak heat gradually emitted from the underground roots. As Ji Yong injected more vitality, the heat became stronger and was quickly transmitted to the ground. Around the ancestral hall, many clan members felt something happening. Have you noticed that the surrounding area seems to be a little warmer? Yes, I discovered it too. It seems like it's gone again. In the confusion of the tribe, Ji-young withdrew his magical power. Just pretend he didn't say anything before. Using this magical power can indeed increase the surrounding temperature, but there is a distance limit, that is, it can only be close to his roots and cannot spread too far. If he unleashes this magical power with all his strength, the Chen family's house may be on fire before the blood rice can grow. However, if you don't use this magical power with all your strength, it doesn't seem to consume much life force. At least he just consumed 0.1 of his life force. I just don't know how long he can last if he doesn't remove his magical power. But in order to save his life force, Ji-young is not going to use it for the time being. At present, the Chen family is not so luxurious and needs floor heating. In the dream, Chen Xingzhen and his son were communicating. After several people discussed it, they came up with several solutions to the problem of blood rice stopping its growth. For example, spread straw next to the blood rice plants, or make a continuous fire directly in the fertile field. If it is more troublesome, simply use some cloth and wood to wrap the entire fertile field. The purpose of these methods is to increase the temperature in the fertile fields, thereby speeding up the growth process of blood rice and allowing it to bear fruit earlier. Chen Xingzhen nodded slightly after hearing this. He has also thought about these methods, but except for the first one, the others are quite troublesome and extremely labor-intensive. As for covering it with straw, although it can increase the temperature a little, the effect is probably not great. However, Chen Xingzhen is still planning to try it tomorrow. No matter what the result is, they cannot give up this crop of blood rice. As for the current actions of the Liu family, Chen Chengming said that all clan members who were investigating outside should withdraw. This matter is left to them. When warriors investigate, they will inevitably reveal clues and leave traces. If the Liu family had no intention of taking action and therefore felt unhappy, it would be self-defeating and put the family in danger. And their current state is perfect for exploration. Considering that the soul body was also at risk of being discovered by warriors, Chen Chengming decided to only let the dead clan members check for traces outside and not enter the Liu family. Although this is a bit slower, it is safer. Moreover, for such a big move by the Liu family, it is impossible for blood coagulation realm warriors to guard every place. This is also an opportunity for them to find out their purpose. The two talked in detail again, and then Chen Chengming's figure slowly disappeared from the dream. The next day, the family made a big move. A large number of clan members were sent to the fertile fields to keep the blood rice warm. It's just that the spiritual field is quite large, and the family's manpower is somewhat insufficient. It took a whole day to cover all the fertile fields with straw. In the following days, the warriors in the clan were busy in the fertile fields. The busyness of the clan members was not without effect. When Chen Xingzhen saw tiny grains of rice growing out of the originally shriveled ears of rice, a hint of joy appeared on his sad face. But after he was overjoyed, Chen Xingzhen looked up at the sky again and sighed secretly. The busy work of the clan members these past few days has indeed paid off, but now it is almost December, the weather is getting colder, and frost has even begun to condense high on the burial mountain. If the current situation continues, the frost will cover all the fertile fields in a few days, and it will still be difficult to harvest the blood rice by then. And their busyness cannot change much in this extremely cold weather. Looking at the clansmen who were still working hard in the fields, even Chen Xingzhen felt a little confused in his heart. Do you really want to give up? But when Chen Xingzhen saw the smiles on the faces of many clan members while they were busy, his heart instantly became free and easy. It doesn't matter if they can't harvest this crop of blood rice. At worst, they will just plant it again next year. Chen Xingzhen no longer hesitated, and just shouted loudly to the tribesmen in the field. Fellow tribesmen, please have extra dinner tonight. Thank you, Patriarch, clan leader Sheng Ming. The tribesmen who heard the extra meal worked harder on their hands. Clan leader, something has been discovered. In the Liu family, the middle-aged man who listened to the report from his clan members stood up suddenly, with a captivating light bursting out of his eyes, and then he said, "Take me to see it." Seeing the clan leader's expression, the person reporting the report also hurriedly led the way. The group of people quickly left the family. After a while, several people arrived at a deep pit. Outside the deep pit, there are many Liu family members guarding them at the moment, and if you look closely, it is not difficult to find that the warriors guarding them have at least the blood coagulation realm. And around this deep pit, there are several tunnels that have been dug out. These tunnels are messy and the excavation method is simple. The pillars used to support the tunnels only use a few wooden piles. Coupled with the fresh soil accumulated outside the deep pits, it can be seen that these tunnels were excavated in a short period of time. The middle-aged man paid no attention to these seemingly extremely dangerous tunnels. Instead, under the leadership of one person, he quickly walked into one of the tunnels that had just been excavated. Soon, the group of people came to the depths of the tunnel. When the middle-aged man saw the red soil at the end of the tunnel, he became even more excited. He immediately approached and reached out to touch it. Under the kneading of the middle-aged man, a touch of bright red blood emerged from the bright red soil. The middle-aged man looked overjoyed when he saw the blood and said, Okay, keep digging. This time we must find the exact location of the natural blood spring. ... Natural blood spring. What is that? Chen family. Chen Xingzhen in the dream looked confused. Just now, Chen Chengming entered a dream and told him the information sent back by the tribesmen sent out in the past few days. After some judgment, Chen Chengming told him that the Liu family was most likely looking for a natural blood spring. Chen Xingzhen, who had never heard of this name, certainly didn't know what it was, but looking at the stern look on his father's face, Chen Xingzhen also felt something bad in his heart. After a short silence, Chen Chengming explained, the world is vast, and in some places, some geomantic treasures are often created, which can produce some strange effects. The natural blood spring is such a geomantic treasure. This kind of blood spring is born underground, but it does not gush out of the ground like spring water. Instead, it forms an undercurrent underground and slowly changes the surrounding area. After saying that, Chen Chengming sighed again. In fact, the blood rice grown by the family now is also due to this natural blood spring. I just had a guess in my mind before, but I didn't confirm it, but last night I personally checked the tunnel dug by the Liu family, and I confirmed that they were indeed looking for the natural blood spring hidden in the mass burial mountain. Quote. Chen Xingzhen looked dazed after hearing the news. He didn't expect that the seemingly ordinary mass burial mountain would actually have such a thing. But soon, Chen Xingzhen came to his senses and asked, why are the Liu family looking for a natural blood spring? Do they want to take the blood spring away? Chen Chengming shook his head. Once a natural blood spring is born, it cannot be removed. There must be other reasons why they are looking for a blood spring. Although this kind of blood spring is a feng shui treasure, its effect is not too surprising among many feng shui treasures. It is just that it can produce blood, rice and other things. According to what you said, the Liu family did not vigorously plant blood rice after arriving at Mass Burial Mountain. It is obvious that they do not care about the side effects of the blood spring. The purpose is probably the natural blood spring itself. If there is no natural blood spring, wouldn't it be impossible to grow blood rice in the Mass Burial Mountain? That's right. Chen Chengming's affirmative answer made Chen Xingzhen's mind full of thoughts, and he couldn't help but frown. As a clan leader, he knows the importance of blood rice. And without the threat of the Li family, if the family develops in this mass burial mountain all year round, relying on blood rice, it may not be able to become a big family in the future and restore its former glory. But if there is no blood rice, the body tempering progress of the family warriors will slow down or even stagnate, and the family's development will fall far behind. Although the flesh and blood of ferocious beasts can be tempered, how many ferocious beasts can there be in the mass burial mountain? How many years of hunting can they withstand from their families? Things like blood rice, which is grown 3 times a year, are too rare. Chen Xingzhen originally thought that the blood rice was the reason for the unique land of Mass Burial Mountain, but he did not expect that there was actually a natural blood spring in the depths. If the Liu family really finds it, will the blood spring disappear? How will the family develop in the future? At this moment, Chen Xingzhen was determined. He must not let the Liu family find the natural blood spring, otherwise the family's future would be cut in half. But thinking of the strength of the Liu family, Chen Xingzhen's eyes became hesitant again. If the family really blocked the Liu family's move, wouldn't it be a mantis blocking the car? Now that the family is destroyed, how can we talk about development? If you fight to the death to stop him, the effect will be almost useless, and the family will be destroyed. If you leave it alone, you will lose your blood rice, but you will most likely be able to keep your family. Presumably, the Lu family, who had found the blood rice, would not take action against the family. If they wanted to take action, they would not wait until now. Which one is lighter or which one is more serious is not difficult to judge after thinking about it. On the side, Chen Chengming did not disturb Chen Xingzhen, who was thinking. After thinking about it clearly, Chen Xingzhen's face showed a hint of helplessness. Even if they knew the Lu family's purpose now, they couldn't stop it and could only pretend they didn't see it. Without the blood rice, it would be good to be able to preserve the family's strength, and besides, the family still has a sacred tree. Since the Lu family has not developed in the mass burial mountain in the past few years, and they will not do so after finding the blood spring, perhaps the Chen family will be the only family in the mass burial mountain by then. In this way, the family's development may be better than before. But compared with the blood rice, this advantage disappeared in an instant. It can only be regarded as the comfort in the heart after losing the blood rice. Recalling the actions of the Lu family in recent years, Chen Chengming suddenly thought of something, and couldn't help but ask Chen Chengming expectantly. Father, the Lu family has been at Mass Burial Mountain for several years. I think it is not just this year that they are looking for blood springs. However, in the past few years, blood rice has still grown in the fertile fields. Is it possible that they can't find it this year? After hearing this, Chen Chengming shook his head. Although there are many tributaries of natural blood springs, it is difficult to find them. However, although the Lu family has not found them in the past few years, they have ruled out most places. In addition, the mass burial mountain is so big. The Lu family has made such a big fuss this time, obviously they have lost their patience. Even if they don't find it this time, they will definitely find it next time. Chen Chengming's words made Chen Xingzhen's last trace of expectation disappear. From this point of view, there is a high probability that the family will not be able to make changes. But then Chen Xingzhen suddenly asked, Father, do you know where this natural blood spring is? Chen Chengming nodded and said calmly, I know that the natural blood spring is under the ancestral hall of my Chen family. Oh, Chen Xingzhen looked as usual after hearing this. But when he reacted, his face was full of surprise, and his heartbeat was even faster while he was sleeping. He was just asking casually to answer his curiosity, but he didn't expect that this natural blood spring was right under the family's ancestral hall. This was really hard for him to accept for a while. Chen Chengming continued, When my family moved here, I was seriously injured and unable to save myself. But by chance, I discovered this natural blood spring and the blood rice here. It is precisely because of this that a new family was established here. To be precise, the natural blood spring is under the sacred tree in the ancestral hall. The reason for the revival of the sacred tree now is probably due to this blood spring. Chen Xingzhen didn't know how to answer the secrets that Chen Chengming revealed one after another. But when he learned the location of the blood spring, his original thoughts changed instantly. If the blood spring was somewhere else, he could pretend not to see it. But now his father told him that the blood spring is under the sacred tree of the ancestral hall. In other words, if he wants to find the blood spring, he must open the family sacred tree. The family sacred tree is also the family totem, the hope for the prosperity of the family, and the god who saves the family from fire and water. Between the blood rice and the sacred tree, he would choose the family sacred tree without hesitation. What's more, now that the two are combined into one, he has no choice. After pondering for a while, Chen Xingzhen nodded silently. Father, I understand. Looking at Chen Xingzhen's expression, Chen Chengming nodded in relief. The reason why he didn't rush to tell Chen Xingzhen this was because he wanted to see how Chen Xingzhen would choose. Now it seems that Chen Xingzhen already has the answer. After Chen Chengming learned about the Lu family's purpose, he already had an idea in his mind. If it weren't for the blood spring here, the family sacred tree might not be able to revive again, let alone resurrect them. Whether it is for the future of the family or for the present of the family, this battle is inevitable. He hopes that Chen Xingzhen has the same idea as him. Even though the disparity is huge, the current Chen family is not without the ability to fight back. In the ancestral hall, Ji Yong silently looked at the area below that was not covered by bluestones but was covered with scarlet soil, and he felt a trace of surprise in his heart. Natural blood spring. Red earth. After Ji Yang's vitality increased, he could already glimpse the scenes of communication between these souls and bodies in dreams. He also heard the conversation between Chen Xingzhen and Chen Chengming just now. He originally thought that the scarlet soil was just because of the blood sacrifice, but he didn't expect that it also had this layer of relationship. Ji Yong slowly twitched one of the strengthened roots and probed deep below. Soon, Ji Yong discovered something unusual. When his roots sank to a certain distance, he touched a land that looked like a swamp. And the feelings coming from the roots are also very different. I thought this was the natural blood spring hidden deep underground, but it was slightly different from what I imagined. Ji Yong tried to absorb it with his roots to see if he could absorb the life force from the blood spring, but the answer was no. When Ji Yong retracted his roots, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Before, he felt that the two families might fight, but now it seems that his feeling was right. Now even if the Chen family wanted to give up this blood spring, it would be impossible, because after he was bound to the Chen family, he could no longer move. Thinking of the strength of the Liu family, Ji Yong lamented that the road ahead was difficult. Fortunately, Chen Xingzhen did not disappoint him and was still his little fanboy. And with his current vitality, it may not be hopeless. While the two families are not yet at war, he still needs more vitality. If you just rely on absorbing the lunar eclipse, you may not be able to improve quickly. The only way is to let the Chen family continue to offer sacrifices. It's a pity that the deduction points cannot be obtained quickly, otherwise he can continue the deduction. But even with sufficient vitality, Ji Yong didn't have much confidence when facing the Liu family whose strength was unknown. Under the moonlight, Ji Yang's fluorescent locust leaves are a little sad. On the second day, without waiting for Ji Yang's signal, Chen Xingzhen had already started to offer sacrifices, and was preparing to offer sacrifices once a day. After meeting Chen Tianjing and others, they were puzzled. They used to offer sacrifices once every 7 days, but why did they suddenly change it to once a day? Even if the clan currently raises enough domestic animals and has enough food, it will be difficult to obtain food in the coming winter. Considering the long time, even if sacrifices are to be made, there is no need to sacrifice them so diligently. When several blood coagulation realm warriors in the clan learned about the situation of the natural blood spring, their expressions changed drastically, and they no longer had any doubts. Many tribesmen who were originally transferred to fertile fields were all withdrawn by Chen Xingzhen, allowing everyone to continue to temper their bodies and strengthen their own strength. Whether this crop of blood rice can be harvested is no longer the main issue for the family today. Protect the family, guard the family's sacred tree, and keep the natural blood spring. This is what the family is about to face. Although many clan members did not know what was going on in the clan, they felt a sense of depression through the atmosphere in the clan and began to practice hard. 2 days later, within the Liu family, a figure was looking around curiously, with a touch of excitement on his face. Looking at the person leading the way, Tianmeng couldn't help but ask. Sir, how far do we have to go? We'll be there soon. Don't ask questions that you shouldn't ask. If your answer this time satisfies the clan leader, you won't be the only one left to eat in our Liu family. Hearing the promise from the person in front of him, Tianmeng's face was filled with joy. Since he failed to pass the Chen family's slave test last time, he returned to the village. Unexpectedly, someone from the Liu family came to his door today. The Liu family is also a big family in Mass Burial Mountain. Although they usually don't show off, after he came in and looked at the heavily guarded surroundings, he could feel that the Liu family seemed to be stronger than the previous Chen family. Even stronger. If he could enter the Liu family, he might be treated better than he was in the Chen family. It is gold and will shine sooner or later. And he, Tianmeng, is the piece of gold whose glory has been obscured. Thinking that he was about to meet the head of the Liu family, Tianmeng was a little nervous and rubbed his hands unconsciously. We're here, let's go in. The villain Tianmeng has met the patriarch. Tianmeng walked into the room and bowed. Well, I heard that you worked as a slave in the Chen family before. Please tell me in detail what you saw. When Tianmeng heard the head of the Liu family asking about this, He was a little confused, but thinking of his previous promise, he said it immediately. During the exchange between the two, the head of the Lu family gave responses from time to time, and his gentle voice made Tian Meng's original nervousness disappear, and he even did not forget to tell all the details of what he saw. Their domestic slave assessment is all fake. Like me. When talking about the latter, Tian Meng was already emotional. Considering that the person opposite was the head of the Lu family, he still did not say anything like he was too good. Good, very good. I probably know everything you said. You can go down. Thank you, Patriarch. Tian Meng thanked him again, and then followed the leader away with excitement on his face. The words just made him reveal the injustice of the Chen family, and judging from the situation, the head of the Lu family was very satisfied with him, and it would not be a problem for him to enter the Lu family. How could this make him unhappy? After Tian Meng left, another person was brought into the room. This person was none other than Kai Mao, who failed to pass the assessment that day and left with Tian Meng. I've met the clan leader. Kai Mao looked very cautious when he entered the room. He glanced at the middle-aged man in front of him with some fear. The room was dim and he couldn't see his face clearly, and he didn't dare to look more. However, after half a cup of tea, Kai Mao began to talk eloquently, describing everything that happened after he entered the Chen family. When he mentioned that he secretly went to the ancestral hall in the middle of the night, the middle-aged man suddenly interrupted. What did you see in that ancestral hall? Kai Mao tried hard to recall, then shook his head. I didn't see anything in the ancestral hall. It seemed like it was just an ancestral hall. The middle-aged man frowned slightly and asked again. Think about it again. As he spoke, a faint fragrance flowed into the tip of his nose, making Kai Mao's memory clearer. Soon, Kai Mao's eyes lit up. I remembered that there was a tree planted in the ancestral hall. Oh, the middle-aged man's voice rose slightly. What tree? It seemed to be a locust tree. It was too dark, so I didn't look at it much. I just thought it was a little strange. Okay, I understand, go down. The middle-aged man's voice made Kai Mao stop talking and left the room immediately. But after leaving the room, Kai Mao was slightly stunned. Why did he say such strange words just now? When he took a peek at it, he thought it was nothing strange. Isn't it normal to plant a tree in the ancestral hall? Kai Mao shook his head and stopped thinking about it. It turned out that the Lu family was just asking him about this matter, which made him feel relieved. Before coming, he thought he had accidentally provoked such a big family. Clan leader, it's just a small Chen family. Is it necessary to go to such trouble? In the room, a tribesman asked in confusion. The middle-aged man chuckled. Oh, if it were before, there would be no need to go to such trouble, but now, the Chen family is a little different. The tree in the ancestral hall is presumably the Chen family's family totem, right? If it goes as expected, the Chen family's totem should have revived at the time of the battle with the Li family. That's why the Li family was defeated. It was all because of the totem. After hearing the totem, the tribesman looked at the courtyard inside the room again, no longer confused on his face. If you have a family totem, you really shouldn't be careless. Clan leader, what should we do next? Go and get ready. It's time to visit this neighbor tomorrow. When talking about his neighbors, the middle-aged man meant a lot. Yes, Patriarch. By the way, Patriarch, what should we do with those two people just now? Killed. The middle-aged man uttered faint words. After hearing this, the tribesmen just retreated silently, with no other color on their faces. Killing two people is just a casual thing for them, and it is even easier to deal with than a ferocious beast. After the room was empty, the middle-aged man slowly walked towards the backyard. But the joy on his face could not be concealed. 5 years, 5 years. The family had been searching for 5 years in Mass Burial Mountain. If it hadn't been for the natural blood spring that would fall asleep in winter, they would have found it long ago. But it is precisely because the blood springs are silent in winter that they can search through the backflow of the blood springs. If the blood spring revives in other seasons, there will be too many tributaries, and it will be difficult to find the exact location of the blood spring, unless they turn the entire Mass Burial Mountain upside down. It's a pity that the current manpower in the clan is simply not enough, not to mention that such a big fanfare can easily attract people's attention. Fortunately, the family's 5-year search was not in vain. Yesterday, the family finally found the main stream of the natural blood spring through the tunnel they dug. After judgment, there is a 90% chance that the blood spring belongs to the Chen family. 5 years have gone from his initial eagerness to his current calmness. After knowing the location of the blood spring, he was not in a hurry to set off, but was ready to inquire about the Chen family first. If it were before this, he might not be so cautious, but last time the Chen family turned defeat into victory in a desperate situation, he had to be more cautious. The most important thing is that the family is no longer what it used to be. He would wait until tomorrow to check the specific strength of the Chen family in the name of a visit, and it would not be too late to take action. The middle-aged man continued to move forward and soon came to a familiar courtyard. In the courtyard, the bamboo forest became sparser and sparse, and the color of the green bamboos became more and more yellow. In the middle of this small bamboo forest, a green bamboo no more than half a foot tall and no thicker than a wrist came into view of the middle-aged man. It's just that this green bamboo looks even more dead, with not even a trace of green on it. The middle-aged man immediately burned incense and prayed. Lord Qingling, this time I will ensure that the family successfully obtains the natural blood spring. After some worship, the middle-aged man threw the blood rice he had prepared into the bamboo forest. When these blood rice were thrown into the bamboo forest, they quickly lost their color and became the same as ordinary rice grains. Unfortunately, Qingzu did not change much after absorbing the blood rice. These blood rice can only maintain the vitality of the family totem, but are not enough to bring the totem back to life. Only the source of these blood rice, the natural blood spring, can save the family's dying totem. It is precisely because of this that the family chose to settle here. However, even if the family totem has declined, it still retains some special effects. For example, when he asked Kai Mao just now, the fragrance of the green bamboo was the divine power of the family totem. If the family totem is in good condition, the fragrance will have many miraculous effects, allowing warriors to think quickly and use their combat skills to achieve greater power. But it won't take a few days. When the family gets the natural blood spring, the totem will be revived. Then they can leave this small mass burial mountain. Return to the place that belongs to the family. Better greetings. Listening to the tribe's report, Chen Xingzhen looked surprised and suspicious, then he took the letter from the tribe's hand and opened it. Lu Zishan, the patriarch of the Lu family, is here to congratulate. Looking at the contents of the letter, Chen Xingzhen's face was calm, but he was already wary. The family has never had any contact with the Lu family before. Today's worship must have revealed the location of the blood spring. The one who comes is not good. Before Chen Xingzhen could put down the letter in his hand, another clan member came to report. Patriarch, several people from the Lu family came outside, and one of them said he was the patriarch of the Lu family. Come so quickly. Chen Xingzhen was slightly shocked, but he immediately called Chen Tianyu and Chen Tianjing to follow him. Since it is a greeting, the family naturally needs to show certain etiquette. Of course, this etiquette is more often to show the strength of the family. Although they knew that the blood spring was under the ancestral hall, the Lu family most likely came here for the blood spring. But now the two families have not yet broken up, and there may be room for change. What's more, the family is weak now. If it is really unavoidable, it would be good to delay it for some time. The greeting card in his hand also made Chen Xingzhen confirm that the Lu family was by no means an ordinary small family, and it needed to be dealt with more carefully. Several people soon arrived outside the family and saw the Lu family members waiting outside. A total of 3 people from the Lu family came this time, and the one standing at the front was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man had a majestic appearance. Although his body was slightly thin, his whole body exuded a vigorous aura. This person is obviously the patriarch of the Lu family, Lu Zishan. As for the 2 people accompanying him, although their temperament was slightly worse, their advanced levels in the blood coagulation realm made Chen Xingzhen's heart sink slightly. One of them had extremely strong qi and blood, as if he had reached the level of blood coagulation, reaching the point where his qi and blood were like mercury. After hearing the news, many tribesmen also ran out to watch. Facing the crowd of Chen family members, Lu Zishan looked as usual, and the smile on his face made many members of the clan feel like spring breeze. Only Chen Xingzhen, a few of the blood coagulation realm warriors who knew his intention, had solemn expressions. After dispersing the clan members, the two clan leaders also met at this moment. The old head of the Chen family, Chen Xingzhen. The head of the Lu family, Lu Zishan. After briefly identifying himself, Lu Zishan smiled and said, "Today's visit is very presumptuous. Please don't take offense to Patriarch Chen. Clan Chief Lu is welcome, please. Please." Both parties smiled and then slowly walked towards the clan. Soon, the group of people arrived at the main hall of the Chen family. "Come here, let's have some tea." After the two exchanged pleasantries, Lu Zishan suddenly said, "When winter came, I came over and saw that the nobles were planting blood rice. I wonder what the harvest will be like. Excuse me, Patriarch Lu, for your concern. The weather has been cold recently. I'm afraid it will be difficult to harvest the blood rice." Oh, Lu Zishan looked surprised, and then nodded. "It is indeed difficult for blood rice to grow in winter, but I remember that there seems to be a secret recipe in the clan that can make blood rice grow strong in winter, but now I don't know where the secret recipe is. If the nobles need it, I can send someone back to look for it and then send it over." What does Patriarch Chen think? Chen Xingzhen looked overjoyed after hearing this. Is there really such a secret recipe? I'll thank Patriarch Lu first. Clan Chief Chen is welcome. I will send someone to deliver it in 2 days. That's perfect. After the two said this, they exchanged pleasantries again. After greetings, several people stopped staying and prepared to leave. Chen Xingzhen also seemed extremely enthusiastic and sent the 3 people to the door. He didn't turn back to his family until the figures disappeared. After turning around, the smile on Chen Xingzhen's face disappeared. Chen Tianjing on the side also said anxiously, "Clan leader, the Lu family must have evil intentions, why should we agree to them?" Chen Xingzhen sighed after hearing this. "Of course I know this, but since they have discovered the blood rice, they must also know the corresponding situation. Whether they are concealing it or rejecting it at this time, does it mean that we are not telling them openly that we already know their purpose? Only by agreeing can we avoid exposing any flaws." After saying that, Chen Xingzhen looked worried. Although it seems that the urgent need has been solved, who knows what the Lu family will do next, and he needs to be prepared for the worst. I just don't know if my performance today can confuse the Lu family and delay the family some more time. In addition, the strength of the Lu family is probably stronger than the family previously estimated. At least one of the late-stage blood coagulation realm warriors beside Lu Zishan today is someone the family has never seen before when they were checking for information. What worried him the most was not these late-stage blood coagulation realm warriors. He was worried that there were Shantian realm warriors in the Lu family. If so, how should the family respond? But regardless of whether it exists or not, it is impossible to hand over this natural blood spring. Chen Tianjun then said to the 2 people beside him, "Please notify me and let the tribe prepare for a life and death battle at any time. The number of guards will be doubled at night. I will go to the sacred tree and ask the elders of the tribe for instructions tonight." The 2 people who heard this also looked solemn, and then left and began to deploy family defense. On the other side, the 3 members of the Lu family have also walked some distance away. At this moment, the smile on Lu Zishan's face had long disappeared. On the side, the tribesman following him said, "Patriarch, the Chen family is still planting blood rice in winter. I'm afraid they don't know that the blood springs will be silent in winter. They may even not know that the blood rice here is due to the natural blood springs. The head of the Chen family promised so readily just now. If we don't attack by force, we can use other things in exchange." Another tribesman nodded after hearing this. Zicheng is right, the Chen family is indeed ignorant, and according to my observation, there are not many blood coagulation realm warriors in the Chen family. If possible, I can lead my tribe to attack it tonight and find the place where the natural blood spring is. Quote. Lu Zishan shook his head. "You have underestimated the Chen family too much. This time I used a bamboo leaf that Lord Qingling gave me before. The Chen family is not as simple as it seems, especially in the ancestral hall, there are many something I don't understand. Unfortunately, Master Qingling is now in deep sleep and cannot give detailed tips. Furthermore, the Chen family members are all within the clan and have not gone out. It can be seen that they have already been prepared to fight with my Lu family. In this case, how can they not know about the blood spring? After Lu Zishan pointed it out, the expressions of the two of them changed slightly. Indeed, they were so focused on observing the Chen family's strength that they didn't notice this little detail. Coupled with the warning of the family totem, it may not be an easy task to get the blood fountain. Clan leader, what should we do next? We can't really give the Chen family the secret recipe for growing blood rice, right? Lu Zishan smiled faintly. The Chen family does have some strength, but it involves the family totem, and the family must not miss this time. Tomorrow you inform all the warriors in the clan to be prepared. I'll ask Uncle Shengrong to come out of seclusion when I get back. After hearing this, the expressions of the two people who were originally thinking about how to solve the matter suddenly became relaxed. Lu Shengrong, the elder of the clan, is the only Shantian realm warrior left in the family. This clan elder was originally at the great perfection of the Shantian realm, and was about to enter the inner gang realm of the 5th level of Qi control. Unfortunately, due to family strife, he was seriously injured when he led everyone to escape to the mass burial mountain. Not only did his realm fall to the early stage of the Shantian realm, even now, he is still in seclusion to recuperate. But even so, Shantian realm warriors are also an insurmountable gap for blood coagulation realm warriors. It is impossible for the Chen family to have Shantian realm warriors, otherwise they would not have been forced into a desperate situation by the Li family last time. If this uncle can be asked to take action this time, the natural blood spring must be in the family's pocket. Lu family, in a secret room. Lu Zishan, who returned to his family, looked respectful, lowered his head and shouted towards the secret room. Lu Zishan, the current patriarch of the Lu family, respectfully invites my great-uncle to come out of seclusion. The shouting passed through the cracks in the stone in the secret room and disappeared silently. Lu Zishan was not impatient, he just stood there and waited quietly. Half a quarter of an hour later, a rumbling sound came from the stone door of the secret room. As the stone door opened, an old man with the vicissitudes of life, gray hair, and a beard several inches long slowly walked out of the stone door. Lu Zishan breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the old man in front of him. The great-uncle was not in good condition in seclusion last time, and he was really worried that he died in the secret room. Fortunately, this great-uncle is still alive and seems to be in good condition. Feeling the aura of the old man, Lu Zishan said in surprise. "Uncle, are you healed?" The old man shook his head. "It's just a slight improvement, and it's back to the middle stage of the Shantian realm, but it will take some time to get back to the top." After saying that, the old man suddenly looked at Lu Zishan and asked. "Before the seclusion, I said I couldn't disturb anything. Now that Zishan has asked me to come out of seclusion, you must have gained something, right?" Lu Zishan didn't talk nonsense and explained the natural blood spring directly. After hearing that the natural blood spring could help rejuvenate the family totem, the old man nodded repeatedly. Okay. The old man said 3 good words in succession, with a hint of joy on his face. It is too slow to restore the realm by himself, but if he has the help of his family totem, he can save a lot of time. The most important thing is that his lifespan is short. The lifespan of a blood coagulation realm warrior is only more than 80 years, which is even a little lower than that of some pampered ordinary people. The reason is that the first 2 realms require the consumption of one's own potential. Only after reaching the Shantian realm, one's lifespan can be extended by several decades to 150 years. And he is already 130 years old this year. After the last serious injury, his realm fell, and his lifespan was also shortened by 10 years, which means that he only has 10 years to live. Without the help of the totem, it would be difficult for him to break through the inner realm. The news about the natural blood spring is the best news for him now. The old man glanced at Lu Zishan up and down, sighed and said, "If the family totem is still good, it's almost time for you to break through to the innate realm." Lu Zishan smiled bitterly. Yes, in recent years, because the family totem has been sleeping, there have indeed been few new Shantian realm warriors appearing in the family. But it's not too late now. As long as the family totem is revived, the family will definitely become stronger. His Lu family is not just the family members of Mass Burial Mountain. And he can also rely on this to integrate the other 2 lines, and then regain everything they have in southern Xinjiang. Take me to see Master Qingling. In the courtyard, the old man came to the family totem and prayed devoutly. Then he looked at Lu Zishan again and asked, "Does the Chen family have Shantian realm warriors?" Lu Zishan shook his head. "I guess it's not possible, but the Chen family has a family sacred tree. I don't know what the power of their sacred tree is." Lu Zishan revealed his plan and told the old man what he had done during the day. However, the old man smiled lightly and said, "Since there are no Shantian realm warriors, there is no need to go to such trouble. The night is long and there are many dreams. Let's take the tribe there tonight. The family totem can't last long. Get the blood spring sooner so that the totem can be revived sooner." Lu Zishan was a little hesitant after hearing this. After all, he still didn't know the power of the Chen family's totem. If he attacked rashly, his clan members might get hurt. But thinking of his great-uncle's state, Lu Zishan lost the last trace of worry in his heart. The strength of the Shantian realm warriors cannot be blocked by the Chen family's recently revived totem, not to mention that the great-uncle is not a simple Shantian realm warrior. If the Chen family really had such strength, they wouldn't have such an attitude today. "Okay, great-uncle, please wait a moment, I will organize a gathering of the clan members right away." In the ancestral hall, Chen Xingzhen also informed the sacred tree and Chen Chengming and others who were listening under the sacred tree about what happened during the day. At this moment, Chen Chengming and others also looked solemn. The Lu family's visit during the day probably already knew the location of the blood spring, but the Lu family did not reveal the information or even offered benefits in exchange. This shows that the strength of the Lu family is likely to be beyond their imagination. No matter which way you look at it, the family is in danger. But they are just souls and have no bodies, so how can they help the family escape the crisis? Now we still have to rely on the sacred tree and the many warriors in the clan. Ji Yang, who heard Chen Xingzhen's narration, also opened his own panel at this moment. Name: Ji Yang. Race: Netherworld Locust Tree. Vitality: 218.2. Supernatural powers: Eye of Insight, Reversal of Pill Movement, Blind Eyes with a Leaf, Soul Condensation, Armor Covering, 1,000 miles away. Exercise: Lunar Eclipse, Gathering Yin. Combat Skill: Teizu Chengquan can be transferred once. Qi and Blood, 108 can be converted into Vitality. Spiritual Power, 19. Deduction Points, 4, cannot be deduced. Status: Absorbing Moonlight. In the past few days, Chen Xingzhen sacrificed several domestic animals kept in captivity in the clan, which brought Ji Yang's Qi and Blood back to 108 points, which was converted into Vitality and had more than 50 points. In addition, Ji Yang's response to the lunar eclipse absorbed, there is not a lot of Vitality nowadays. But if the clan leader's warriors suffered a large number of casualties, these Vitality might not be enough. Now that the crisis is imminent, we don't know when the Lu family will take action. Just as Ji Yang was thinking about whether he could make his family stronger, the roots far underground suddenly felt something. It was a warrior far beyond the realm of blood coagulation, and it was quickly approaching the Chen family. Ji Yang was shocked and did not wait for him to issue a warning. The living soul who was sent away by Chen Chengming has reported back. Clan leader: a large number of Lu family warriors were spotted a mile away, and they are quickly approaching the family. Chen Chengming's face was a little ugly when he heard the news, but he was only a soul, and Chen Xingzhen had not fallen asleep. Now that he had received the news, he could not inform Chen Xingzhen in time to let the family prepare for defense. This made Chen Chengming anxious. Just when Chen Chengming was about to pray to the sacred tree, many members of the clan suddenly shouted. "What happened? It's so hot. Chen Xingzhen, who heard the shouting outside, didn't care to say anything more and hurriedly left the ancestral hall to investigate the situation. As soon as they left the ancestral hall, Chen Tianyu and other blood coagulation realm warriors had already arrived. Several people looked solemn and said, "Clan leader, the Lu family is here." Chen Xingzhen was shocked when he heard the news, but this was not the first time this happened. He immediately circulated the energy and blood in his body and shouted loudly, "I am a member of the Chen family, come with me to fight." The voice resounded through the family, causing the originally doubtful clan members to stop wondering why the ground was so hot just now, and gathered themselves together to prepare for battle. But many tribesmen are still confused. Now the family is relatively stable. During the day, the head of the Liu family came to visit him in person. Who is the enemy this time? Chen Tianyu and others were already prepared, but they did not have much confidence in the upcoming battle. Just as several people were rushing towards the outside of the clan, a string of memories suddenly appeared in Chen Tianyu's mind. This sudden memory made Chen Tianyu hesitate, but then he felt that the Teizu Changquan, which he had not successfully practiced before, suddenly merged into his mind at this moment. This made Chen Tianyu look happy. The battle was imminent. If he could increase his strength, he would have more hope. As Chen Xingzhen and many living souls in the ancestral hall left, soon only Ji Yang's tree was left in the ancestral hall. The transfer just now was naturally done by Ji Yang. At this critical moment, the remaining transfer was of no use. But even if he learned the combat skill of Teizu Changquan, it was better than nothing. Just when Ji Yang was about to use the underground routes to check the situation outside, a figure suddenly fell from the sky and landed directly under the sacred tree. The person who came was none other than Chen Qingyu, who is now known as the first person in the family. When Chen Xingzhen came to the ancestral hall tonight, Chen Qingyu was already sitting on the roof outside the ancestral hall. Eavesdropping, he naturally learned about the current situation of the family. And he, who has the strongest perception, also noticed an extremely powerful aura not far away at this moment. It was a powerful enemy that he could not resist in the late stage of blood coagulation realm. Although she knew she was outmatched, there was no fear in Chen Qingyu's eyes, but a look of determination. He must protect the family. Clan member Chen Qingyu, please ask the sacred tree for help. Chen Qingyu looked sincere and worshipped Ji Yang. As Chen Qingyu prayed devoutly, a piece of the fluorescent locust leaf suddenly fell. This locust leaf was extremely bright, directly lighting up most of the ancestral hall. When the locust leaves fell into Chen Qingyu's hands, even Chen Qingyu felt the extremely powerful vitality from the locust leaves. That was something that the previous two locust leaves did not have. He felt that what he was holding in his hand was not a locust leaf, but a beating heart. Chen Qingyu bowed again, without saying much, jumped out of the ancestral hall and rushed towards the outside of the clan. He never likes to talk much, actions are his best expression. Ji Yang, who watched Chen Qingyu leave, was also praying silently in his heart. I hope this locust leaf is useful. In order to maximize Chen Qingyu's strength, this time he directly used the blinding magic to inject 20 points of vitality into the locust leaves. Nearly 1/10 of his current vitality, and 4 times that of last time. This shows how much Ji Yang expects from Chen Qingyu. Although Ji Yang also wants to inject more. But this magical power is not unlimited, or it is not a limitation of the magical power, but a limitation of the warrior's own strength. Only with a higher realm and a stronger body can the effect of this magical power be maximized. 20 points is the limit for a blood coagulation realm warrior. If there were more, he would be worrying too much. Outside the Chen family, a group of Liu family warriors took advantage of the darkness and quickly approached. The person walking in the front was the Shantian realm warrior, and beside him was Lu Zishan. Uncle, should we sneak over secretly and catch them off guard? Although he is confident in his own strength, as the leader of the clan, he still needs to avoid casualties among his clan members. The most important thing is that the clan is no longer what it used to be, and every clan member is the core strength of the clan. After hearing this, the old man just waved his hand lightly. No need, the Chen family has already discovered us. After hearing this, Lu Zishan had a trace of surprise in his eyes. Although he is not a Shantian realm warrior, he has not sensed any warriors from the Chen family during this journey. So how did the Chen family discover them? But since the great uncle said so, there must be nothing wrong. Lu Zishan stopped thinking and immediately asked the tribesmen to move forward quickly. So what if I discovered it? The gap in strength between the two families is inescapable. Under the acceleration of everyone, they soon arrived outside the Chen family. At this moment, the Chen family's lights were brightly lit, and the warriors in the family were in full preparedness, obviously ready for a big battle. Standing at the front was Chen Xingzhen and several blood coagulation realm warriors from his clan, but Chen Qingyu was not among them. When Chen Xingzhen and others looked at the menacing and murderous people, their eyes became more solemn. With just a cursory glance, he had already discovered 5 or 6 late-stage blood coagulation realm warriors. Together with other blood coagulation realm warriors, there are about 10 people. With such strength, he can defeat 2 Chen families. What shocked Chen Xingzhen even more was the white-haired old man next to Lu Zixin at the front of the crowd. The white-haired old man just stood there, showing no flaws, and his whole person revealed a hint of physical perfection. Innate realm. Only Shantian realm warriors can have such momentum. The appearance of the old man made many members of the Chen family hold their breath and realize that this battle might be more dangerous than the last time they fought with the Li family. But the battle of life and death did not allow them to retreat. Behind them are their relatives. Even if they die, they will not hesitate. Clan Chief Chen, long time no see. Lu Zixin glanced around at the many warriors of the Chen family, and there was a touch of confidence in his eyes as he didn't feel much danger. If the Chen family only had these people, the great-uncle wouldn't even need to take action tonight. However, considering the Chen family's totem, he did not regret letting his uncle out of seclusion. When a lion fights a rabbit, he must use all his strength. Lu Zixin, what do you want to do? If you hand over the natural blood spring, I can still let your Chen family live, otherwise, you will die. Lu Zixin, who mobilized his entire family, no longer concealed his purpose this time, with a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. HMPH, the blood spring is right under my Chen family ancestral hall. If you have the ability, come and get it. Chen Xingzhen said unceremoniously. Many clan members were still confused after hearing about the natural blood spring. After all, they had never heard of this thing in their family. But when Chen Xingzhen said that the natural blood spring was under the ancestral hall, many warriors in the Chen family were no longer confused. In the ancestral hall, there is the family sacred tree, which is the family totem. Asking for the blood fountain means asking for the family sacred tree, so what else is there to explain? Okay, I found it, let's do it. I'll destroy that sacred tree, and you can take care of the others. The old man on the side spoke calmly. Good. Lu Zixin no longer hesitated after hearing this. How could he waste time when the 2 clans were fighting? The conversation just now was just to let the great-uncle find out where the Chen family's sacred tree was, so as to avoid too much trouble. As soon as he finished speaking, the old man jumped up in the air and went straight to the Chen family ancestral hall. On the side, Lu Zixin stimulated his own energy and blood and shouted. Kill. Facing the impact of many warriors and the Shantian realm old man who was about to cross the crowd, Chen Xingzhen also realized his purpose. He felt anxious and shouted. Stop him. The sacred tree is the hope of the family. If it is destroyed by the old man, the family will die. No matter what you say now, you must stop this person. The next moment, the 2 families were fighting together. However, the huge gap in strength caused many clan members to be injured in their first encounter. The family's recuperation in the past 2 months is not enough to make a qualitative leap in the family's strength, not to mention the enemy is very strong. The old man in the sky seems to have used some kind of combat skill. At this moment, he is walking in the air like walking on flat ground, and no one can stop him. Boom! With the sound of a sound and the splash of blood, the 2 blood coagulation realm warriors below were instantly repelled by Chen Tianyu, who had surged in momentum. After repelling the 2 men, Chen Tianyu immediately used the newly learned shadow step to step forward and stop the old man. Is there an expert? Chen Tianyu, who felt his momentum surge and suddenly reach the late stage of blood coagulation realm, had a hint of surprise in the old man's calm eyes. However, after careful observation, the old man was no longer surprised and just smiled disdainfully. It turns out that he used some kind of combat technique to enhance his strength. Unfortunately, this kind of combat technique often has serious side effects. Just by looking at it, the old man could tell that Chen Tianyu's 2 kidneys were no longer there. And if you want to stop him by virtue of being in the late stage of the blood coagulation realm, you are overestimating yourself, a Shantian realm warrior. At this time, Chen Tianyu had already walked to the old man with shadow steps and used the Teizu Chengquan he had just learned. After using the 5 internal organs ascending technique to explode 2 kidneys, Chen Tianyu's state has reached the late stage of blood coagulation state from the middle stage of blood coagulation state. Although there is a pain in his body, he feels that his strength has greatly increased, and he is even more confident at this moment. But in the face of his full blow, the old man in the air just punched back casually. The next moment, Chen Tianyu vomited blood and flew out. Seeing Chen Tianyu knocked to the ground, the old man was not interested. He wanted to see what the Chen family's background was, so he stopped. Otherwise, with his strength, Chen Tianyu would not be able to stop him. And after Chen Tianyu took the lead in using the 5 internal organs ascension technique, Pandora's box was also opened at this moment. Bang bang bang. The sound was accompanied by blood splattering somewhere on the body. All the tribesmen who had learned the art of ascending the 5 internal organs to heaven but couldn't hold on, exploded their own internal organs one after another. They were experiencing brand new power. And this art of ascending the 5 internal organs to heaven has already been learned by all the warriors in the clan without Chen Xingzhen's obstruction. Even Chen Xingzhen, the clan leader, observed it carefully 2 days ago. After using this self-inflicted combat technique, the Chen family martial artist became extremely powerful. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.